My ex-husband favored sons over daughters, so when we divorced, I insisted on having custody of our girl. My daughter made me incredibly proud by acing the college entrance exam and becoming the top scorer in our province. During an interview, a reporter asked her who she wanted to thank the most. Without a moment's hesitation, her eyes found mine in the crowd. Mom, I'm truly grateful for raising me, but your suffocating love and need for control have caused me immense pain. I can't carry the heavy chains of your so-called love any longer. Please, just let me go. As the crowd murmured in shock, the daughter turned to her ex-husband, her eyes brimming with tears. The person I most want to thank is my dad. Even though he couldn't be there with me, it was his quiet support and encouragement that gave me the courage to persevere and achieve what I have today. Dad, thank you for everything you've done for me. I love you. After that, my ex-husband was hailed by everyone as a selfless father. While I was condemned as a monstrous mother, I was shunned by friends and family, vilified by netizens, and fired from my job. To make matters worse, my daughter cut off all contact with me and went to live with my ex-husband's family. On my deathbed, I begged my daughter to see me one last time. My daughter replied coldly, Mom, you ruined my youth, you ruined my love life, I'll never forgive you, even when you're dead. My ex-husband sent me a private message to mock me. What does it matter how much you sacrificed? Tiana still prefers me as her father. I died consumed by endless regret. To my shock, when I opened my eyes, I found myself back at the moment of my divorce, when we were deciding custody of our child. This time, I'll grant my daughter's wish to stay with her wonderful father. 1. I want Tiana, my ex-husband Ryan, who in our past life was desperate to have custody of our son Andrew, this time swept our daughter Tiana into a tight embrace. A look of bewildered delight spread across Tiana's face. It quickly dawned on me, Ryan had been reborn. 2. I wasn't all that surprised by his change of heart. In his previous life, his second wife gave birth to 2 sons for him in one go. Andrew, the son who died young, was clearly not as valuable as Tiana, the top scorer in the national college entrance exam. And even so, I walked up to Tiana and asked patiently, Tiana, do you want to go with your dad? Tiana nodded firmly. Mom, I want to be with Dad. An answer that comes as no surprise. A cold smile touched my lips. Remember this, Tiana, you chose your father. Don't blame me later for letting you go. I'm quite strict about the child's studies, while Ryan never gets involved, leaving all the warm, fuzzy father-daughter bonding to him. So, Tiana has always believed that Ryan is a better parent than I am. In her past life, she also wanted to choose Ryan. Unfortunately, Ryan favored sons over daughters and wanted a son, Andrew, more. Plus, I was worried she might be mistreated, so I volunteered to take her in. Perhaps that's when she started resenting me. I'd like to see if Tiana, that playful and rebellious girl, could still become the provincial top scorer without my strict guidance. Tiana was frightened by my tone and pouted in fear. Dad, Ryan shot an impatient glare at me. Do you have to be so serious when talking to a child? No wonder Tiana doesn't like you. Tiana, once again charmed by Ryan, nestled pitifully into his arms and muttered under her breath, Mommy is mean. I don't want Mommy. Even though I knew she disliked me, my heart still ached. I didn't say a word, turning to look at my son Andrew, whom I had painfully left behind in my past life. 4-year-old Andrew stood to the side, clutching his Transformers toy. His big, bright eyes were fixed on me, full of longing. They were also filled with a cautious, tentative hope. Just last night, I had said to him, my sister is a girl, and she needs our mother more. That's why I have to take her away. Andrew agreed, even though he was crying his heart out just thinking about how, after Ryan remarried, he dumped Andrew on his irresponsible parents, which led to the boy drowning in a pond. Makes my heart ache all the more. I picked Andrew up from the floor and asked him through my tears, would you like to come with Mommy? Andrew wrapped his arms around my neck, sobbing quietly, I want Mommy, I want Mommy, too. The division of assets was settled long ago. Ryan and I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau that very day to file for divorce. The house was Ryan's premarital property, so I'll be moving out with Andrew. In my past life, I did try to prevent Ryan and Tiana from meeting. For one, I resented him for not taking proper care of our son, whose life was tragically cut short at just 5 years old. For another, in his effort to play the perfect father for Tiana, he would bend over backwards to indulge her every whim. He would thoughtlessly undo all the routines and discipline I had worked so hard to instill. Every time he sees Tiana, I have to spend ages re-establishing her good habits, so I just don't let him see her. Of course, if he's determined to see her, there's nothing I can do to stop him. So if Tiana sneaks off to meet him, my hands are tied. I called the movers to come and move the luggage. Before leaving with Andrew, Ryan walked over holding Tiana, beaming with pride. Samantha, when my daughter becomes the top scorer in the province, don't you dare come crawling back. I glanced back at him. Keep your hands off my son, and I'll stay away from your daughter. Ryan sneered, as if I'd want anything to do with your son. You'll be lucky if you can even raise him to adulthood. I knew exactly what he was implying, and a wave of anger washed over me. If it weren't for his irresponsibility and his parents' negligence, how could Andrew have died so young? I couldn't take it anymore. I walked over and slapped him hard across the face. Ryan, even if you don't care for Andrew, he's still your own flesh and blood. How could you say something so inhuman? Ryan was about to explode with anger, but my question stopped him cold. He said sheepishly, I was just talking off the top of my head. I didn't mean anything by it. Tiana ran over and tried to hit me. Bad mommy, don't hit daddy. Seeing Tiana defend him, Ryan grew smug again. Samantha, see how much Tiana hates you. She'll only hate you more. My son ran over and, with his small frame, stood resolutely in front of me to shield me. Sis, you can't hit mom. I scooped Andrew up off the floor before Tiana could hit him, shooting Tiana a glare. Tiana, frightened, threw herself into Ryan's arms and burst into loud sobs. Mommy's mean. I don't want a mean mommy. I don't want her. Andrew turned his head and retorted, Mom's not bad. She's the best mom ever. I just don't understand. They're both my children, both raised by my own hands. So why is it that Tiana always has to be so ungrateful? But it doesn't matter anymore, in this life. I am no longer Tiana's mother. 3. In my past life, I was a stay-at-home wife for 8 years. It took me quite a while to reintegrate into the workforce. This time around, even with a blank resume, I quickly landed a job as a new media operator thanks to my solid professional skills. It's still summer break, so I've enrolled Andrew in daycare. I drop him off in the morning and pick him up in the evening. After finishing up my work one night, I asked Andrew if he ever regretted having to go through tough times with me. Andrew hugged me and said sweetly, it's not hard as long as I'm with you, Mom. Looking at the well-behaved and sensible Andrew, my heart was filled with a mix of gratitude and a deep, painful sense of guilt, grateful for his pure, unwavering love for me, guilty for the hardships I've put him through, and remorseful for the wrongs I did him in a past life. Then, my thoughts turned to Tiana from my previous life, whom I had also left at a daycare center. She would cry endlessly every day, blaming me for not letting her see her father, for not letting her go back to live in the big house, and for not buying her snacks or toys. During that period, she wore me down to the point of exhaustion, bringing me to the brink of collapse on multiple occasions. I almost didn't make it through. No wonder the old saying goes, some children are here to collect a debt, while others are here to repay a kindness. Tiana is the one collecting the debt. I thought Tiana had forgotten all about me, but she remembered me again just a few days later. She video called me using her smartwatch. To be honest, I want nothing to do with her for the rest of my life, but just being her mother makes that nearly impossible. Knowing Tiana, if I ignore her, she'll definitely accuse me of favoring her brother over her in the future. She might even take to the internet to call me out for being sexist, launching another online harassment campaign against me just like in my past life. So, after thinking it over, I ended up answering the call. Mom, I miss you. When are you coming back to see me? I said patiently. Tiana, your dad and I have separated. Dad's house isn't my house anymore, so you can't find me there. Oh, Tiana said, her voice full of disappointment. Can I come to your house to see you then? You can, if your dad agrees. Come over this weekend. I'll have time to help you with your schoolwork. At the mention of schoolwork, Tiana immediately said no. Mom, never mind then, okay? Just let me know whenever you want to come. All right, bye Mom. Tiana, setting aside her longing and sadness, hung up the phone in a hurry. It was as if she was terrified that I'd shove the homework in her face if she was even a second late. For an hour later, Ryan called me, his voice dripping with accusation. Didn't we agree not to contact each other's children after the divorce? I said calmly. Tiana was the one who called me. I'm her mother. Was I supposed to ignore her call? After a moment of silence, Ryan said, I'm deleting your number. Don't contact her. I pressed my lips together, my voice laced with anger. Is that really necessary? The child just misses her mother. What gives you the right to stop her from calling me? Ryan was completely unapologetic, because she chose me, and besides, the divorce agreement clearly states that neither of us is to disturb the other's child. I forced a sob into my voice. Fine. I won't reach out to Tiana, but if she contacts me first, that doesn't count as me breaking the agreement, right? Ryan declared with conviction. Don't worry, Tiana will forget you soon enough. I don't care if Tiana forgets me or not. I only ask one thing of you. No matter what happens in the future, you must treat my daughter well. If you truly don't want to raise her anymore, just give her back to me. In my past life, I said something similar to Ryan. Back then, it was for Andrew's sake, and I meant it from the bottom of my heart. This time, it's just to avoid giving anyone ammunition to criticize me. You can rest assured, Tiana is my precious daughter. I'd suffer anything before I let her suffer. Ryan hung up the phone after saying that. I looked at my phone and sneered. In my past life, Ryan had said something similar. And how did that turn out? I hope Tiana's situation turns out better than Andrew's did. 5. After that, Tiana never did get in touch with me again. My work was going well, and I soon stopped worrying about money. I planned to buy a decent home in a good school district before Andrew starts elementary school. On National Day, I took Andrew to the mall. As luck would have it, we ran into Ryan, Tiana, and Ryan's second wife, Vivian. Compared to 6 months ago, Tiana had lost a lot of weight. She looked timid and cautious, and the clothes she was wearing, which I had bought for her last year, were now far too small, clearly not well taken care of. Tiana saw me, paused for a moment in surprise, then threw herself at me in a burst of joy. Mom, I still have to play the part of the good mother, so, with tears in my eyes, I swept Tiana up into a tight, emotional hug. Sweetheart, I missed you too. Ryan's face darkened instantly. He took 2 steps toward me but was held back by Vivian. Vivian said cheerfully, "Oh, it's you, sis. Perfect timing. Tiana's been missing her mom, and since she's on break right now, why don't you take her for a few days? It'll be a great chance for you two to bond." Tiana immediately started cooing and clinging sweetly. "Mommy, I missed you." I nodded with a smile. "Sure thing." Ryan was probably worried that Tiana and I were getting too close, so he made me promise to bring her back a day before the holiday ended. After Ryan and Vivian left, I stuck to the plan and first took Tiana and Andrew out for a meal. Tiana was clamoring for burgers and chicken, and since Andrew seemed to want the same, I took them to a fast food joint. I ordered 2 kids' meals. As soon as the food arrived, Tiana immediately snatched the chicken leg right off Andrew's plate. Andrew just looked at Tiana, not only letting her get away with it, but also handing over his own chicken wing to her, without so much as a thank you. Tiana tucked in, completely unbothered. I found myself staring, mesmerized, at Tiana as she wolfed down her food. Tiana has always harbored a strong resentment towards her younger brother, Andrew. Ever since Andrew was born, she would often sneak behind my and Ryan's backs to hit him. I believe she felt insecure after gaining a little brother. Because of this, I never punished her. Instead, I constantly reminded myself to prioritize her needs and feelings. Aside from stopping her from hitting Andrew, I always let her have first pick of food and toys. Andrew is such a thoughtful boy. It's heart-wrenching. He's always let his older sister have her way since they were little. After waiting for Tiana to eat until she was full and burping, I ordered 2 extra chicken drumsticks just for her and Andrew. Andrew was so happy and insisted that I share the food with him. I told him I didn't care for any, and only then did he start eating, taking small, careful bites. Tiana couldn't eat anymore, so she clutched the bag of chicken drumsticks tightly in her hand. Even after seeing her brother feed me, she still didn't say a word about sharing. After we finished eating, I took them shopping for clothes. Andrew whispered to me that I should use the money meant for his clothes to buy things for his sister instead. Since I figured Andrew could buy his own anytime, I got 3 sets for Tiana and just 1 for Andrew. That way, Tiana wouldn't feel slighted and take it out on Andrew behind my back. Tiana was over the moon seeing how much more I bought for her. She even gloated to Andrew, saying I must love her more. Andrew didn't get jealous. Instead, he said contentedly, "As long as Mom loves me too, that's enough." I ruffled Andrew's hair and said with a smile, "Mom loves you both the same." Tiana pouted in dissatisfaction. Andrew jumped for joy. 6. Even though I resent Tiana for being an ungrateful wretch, I never intended to treat her harshly, but expecting me to instruct her with the same wholehearted devotion as in my past life is simply out of the question. Besides, given Tiana's character, if I were to do that again, she would undoubtedly grow up to accuse and condemn me, just as she did before. She branded me as the shameful daughter of a monstrous mother, so I decided I would only be nice to her. For the next few days, I waited on her hand and foot with all the finest food, drink, and entertainment. I let her indulge to her heart's content. I only gave her a half-hearted reminder to study every day. The moment she showed any reluctance, I would immediately set her free. I documented all my kindness towards her on my social media feed, just like Ryan did in his past life. Of course, I didn't forget to post photos of her studying. Anyone who sees this would have to admit I'm a responsible and caring mother. After I posted that update about Tiana studying, Ryan couldn't sit still. He called me, demanding that I send Tiana back early. Tiana threw a fit, crying and refusing to agree. Ryan only agreed after yelling at her, and even then, he was clearly reluctant. When it was time to part, Tiana clung to me desperately, crying her heart out. "I want my mommy. I want my mommy." My heart aching, I said, "Maybe I should just wait until the holiday is over to take her back." Ryan grew even angrier, roughly snatching Tiana from my arms. "Samantha, just keep your son in line and stay away from my daughter." I looked helplessly at Tiana. "Come back and see me next time. Tiana, I'll be waiting for you." "No, I want mommy. I want mommy right now." Tiana was crying her heart out, desperately reaching for me. Ryan grew even angrier and carried her away by force. Only after Ryan had carried Tiana completely out of sight did I turn around and wipe away my tears. Back in the car, Andrew immediately threw himself into my arms. I asked Andrew, Do you like your sister? Andrew hesitated, at a loss for words. Smiling, I patted his head and said bluntly, Mom isn't too fond of her. Andrew nodded in surprise, then whispered to me, Mommy, I don't really like my sister either. She doesn't listen to you, and she's always picking on me. Mommy knows. She won't be living with us very often. This is a secret between you and me. Andrew, you mustn't tell anyone, okay? Andrew nodded eagerly. Aha, Andrew knows. A secret is for nobody else. Andrew, you must remember this. No matter what your sister asks you to do behind Mom's back, you must never do it. Do you understand? Andrew nodded vigorously. Aha, Andrew understands. Tiana was already a schemer at heart. Who knows what kind of person Ryan will raise her to be in this life. I'm afraid she might use Andrew for her own shady purposes in the future, so I gave Andrew a heads up in advance. 7. Just as I had anticipated, the more Tiana seemed reluctant to let me go, the more Ryan forbade her from contacting me. For a long time after that, I had no contact with Tiana. For the first half year or so, I'd message Ryan every couple of weeks, asking if I could see Tiana. Of course, Ryan wouldn't agree. At first, he'd reply, but eventually, he couldn't even be bothered to do that. Every month, I'd buy new clothes and send them to Tiana. After all, I have to play the part of a good mother who dearly loves her daughter. Andrew was, as always, well-behaved and sensible, to be fair. Andrew isn't as clever as Tiana, but Andrew is diligent and eager to learn, so his grades are still quite good. He's also sensible, filial, and full of gratitude. He's truly a child who's here to repay a kindness. I have absolutely no reason to be anything but pleased. I almost post a daily update on my social feed, visible only to Ryan, showcasing Andrew's diligence and eagerness to learn from every angle. This is to give Ryan a bit of a nudge, pushing him to pressure Tiana into studying, so he wouldn't think Tiana was difficult to manage and get the idea of foisting her off on me. My prodding worked. Ryan has been posting almost daily updates about how much Tiana loves to study. However, I noticed many bruises on the exposed parts of Tiana's arms. I wasn't the least bit surprised. Tiana is smart, but she's very resistant to learning, and Ryan isn't a patient man, so it's no surprise he'd resort to force. In my past life, I was strict, but I never laid a hand on Tiana. In the future, she'll hate him even more than she ever hated me. I didn't see Tiana again until 2.5 years later. I got a call from a police officer saying Tiana was waiting for me at the station. I rushed over immediately with Andrew. According to Tiana, Ryan had punished her by withholding her meals because she couldn't finish her homework. While Ryan was distracted, she ran away from home and went to the police station, begging the officers to help her find me. As soon as we met, Tiana threw her arms around me and burst into tears. Mom, Dad hit me and won't let me eat. Can you take me away, please? My eyes welled up with tears too. Sweetheart, you were the one who insisted on staying with your dad. Now he's your legal guardian, and I don't have the right to take you away. I don't care. I want to stay with Mommy. Just as Tiana was throwing a tantrum, Ryan appeared with a dark scowl on his face. He walked over and yanked Tiana right out of my arms. Tiana seemed terrified of Ryan. She immediately stopped her wailing and broke into quiet sobs. Ryan explained to the officers that it was just normal discipline, so they didn't give him a hard time. They just advised him to use gentler methods. I also said to Ryan, even though Tiana lives with you, she's still my daughter. I hope you can be more patient with her in the future, and please don't resort to physical punishment or withhold meals. Ryan was absolutely furious. Samantha, Tiana is my responsibility. I'll discipline her however I see fit, and I don't need you meddling in my business. With that, Ryan grabbed Tiana and dragged her away. As Tiana turned, I clearly saw her shoot Ryan a look of pure, seething resentment. This is just fantastic. Not long after we parted ways, Ryan messaged me to say he'd moved and asked me to stop sending clothes to Tiana. Another expense saved. I couldn't be happier about it. The next time I heard news about Tiana was after she finished her high school entrance exams. Ryan went out of his way to call me just to brag. He said Tiana scored 684 points and got accepted into the best high school in the area. I just smiled without saying a word. In her past life, Tiana was the top scorer in this year's high school entrance exam, with a total of 728 points. A score of 684 just barely met the admission cutoff for first high school, so it wasn't particularly outstanding, and if nothing unexpected happened, Tiana was about to enter her 3 most rebellious years. She would grow to hate school, skip classes, and start dating too early. Your grades are going to take a serious nosedive. In my past life, to keep Tiana from going off the rails, I spent all of high school reasoning with her, appealing to her emotions, and pleading tirelessly. She only barely managed to keep it together, but after she achieved success, she turned around and blamed me for being too strict, for setting the bar too high, and for ruining her little romance with that bleach blonde punk. How ridiculous. No surprise Ryan will end up with an ungrateful wretch too. I can't Wait for that day to come. I stopped keeping up with Tiana because my son started middle school. He couldn't match Tiana's intellect, so he had to make up for it with hard work. It's going to require a greater investment of time and effort. Fortunately, my son remains as diligent, studious, and well-behaved as ever, without a single word of complaint. 9. The day before high school started, I got a sudden call from Tiana. She said she wanted to see me, and I agreed. I left Andrew at home and arranged to meet her on a street corner. Tiana stood there on the sidewalk, looking uneasy. Her hair was dry and brittle, and she wore old clothes that didn't fit right. The moment she saw me, she rushed into my arms, sobbing, "Mommy, I've missed you so much." I forced out some tears. "Sweetheart, I've missed you too, but your father won't let me see you. He won't even let me send you clothes." Hearing this, Tiana cried even harder. "Why is Dad like this? It's bad enough that he and my stepmom treat me poorly, but now he won't even let Mom be good to me. Mom, please let me stay with you." "Okay," I sighed helplessly. "Sweetheart, when your father and I divorced, we signed an agreement. Unless he voluntarily gives up custody, I have no right to take you away from him." Tiana was crying her heart out. "Mom, I was wrong," I sneered to myself. "Serves you right." Tiana cried nonstop for a good 10 minutes before she finally started to calm down. Now it was my turn to take the stage. First, I took her out for a meal, then helped her buy a new phone and some clothes, before finally driving her to school. In the car, I casually suggested that Tiana should come find me on the weekend, so I could take her out. Tiana said sadly, "Dad signed me up for tutoring this weekend. I can't get out of it." My heart ached for her. "Your father is pushing you too hard. I can't control him. Just call me if you need anything. And be sure to tell Mom if you're short on money." Tiana was moved to tears. "Mom, you're the one who's really good to me. All Dad ever does is force me to study." In my past life, I was also concerned about Tiana's studies, but my approach was primarily one of encouragement and guidance. Aside from that one time I took drastic measures over her puppy love, I was generally quite gentle. Ryan clearly lacked that patience and resorted to force and intimidation instead. As a result, Tiana's resentment and resistance only grew stronger. 10. Tiana contacts me almost every day. She often complains to me that Vivian withholds her living expenses. Naturally, I had to play the part of the good mother, so I gave her the love and money she wanted. She grew increasingly grateful to me. About a month later, Ryan found out that I had been secretly in touch with Tiana using Tiana's phone. Ryan sent me a video of him disciplining her with a clothes hanger. I immediately called him up and had a huge argument with Ryan. Ryan warned me never to contact Tiana again, or he'd beat her up every single day. Intimidated by his threat, I reluctantly agreed. After that day, Tiana cut off contact with me again. My focus shifted entirely to Andrew. Andrew remained sensible and driven, consistently ranking at the top of his class. 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. One day, I unexpectedly received a call from Ryan. He told me to take Tiana away. He didn't want to deal with her anymore. I know exactly why he changed his mind all of a sudden. He must have found out about Tiana's puppy love with that blonde kid. He's completely given up on Tiana, so he can't wait to dump the mess he's made of her onto me, I said calmly, with profound regret in my voice. "I knew you'd squander Tiana's potential. She's such promising material." Thankfully, there's still a year left. With her solid foundation and sharp mind, she can absolutely catch up in time. Bring Tiana over first thing tomorrow morning. And you'll need to cooperate with me to change the custody arrangement. Let's be clear up front, no matter what happens with Tiana in the future, good or bad, it has nothing to do with you. You are not to see or contact Tiana ever again. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I pressed impatiently. "Well, can you do it or not? If you can, then let's go and file for the custody change." Ryan backtracked. "I was just venting. Did you really think I'd abandon Tiana? Don't get your hopes up. I'm never giving her to you." Ryan hung up the phone. I stared at the phone screen and let out a cold, scornful laugh. An unsurprising answer. If Tiana had been with me from the start, he might have been able to play the good father and swoop in to claim the credit in the end, just like he did in the previous life. But in this life, he has become the person Tiana hates most. Whether Tiana ends up hating me or not, there's absolutely no way she'll ever like him as a father again. The moment I mentioned Tiana still had a chance to succeed, he was filled with regret. He'd rather see Tiana fail under his own watch than let her become a top scorer in the Gauco under my guidance. Now I think I understand why Tiana is so heartless and ungrateful. It's clearly those rotten genes she inherited from Ryan. 11. 3 days later, I got a call from Tiana from an unknown number. She said Ryan was beating her to a pulp and begged me to come save her. I told her I had no right to take her away, but I could help her call the police. She then backtracked and said not to involve the police. I know she's lying. I know why she didn't want to call the police, so I didn't call her out on it. She's in a teenage romance. It's only natural for Ryan, as her father, to discipline his daughter for dating too young. Calling the police would be pointless. Tiana begged me to fight for custody. I told him Ryan wouldn't agree, so there was nothing I could do. Besides, she's almost an adult now, so it wouldn't make much difference in the end. I transferred 3,000 to her and told her to focus on her studies. On Lunar New Year's Day, Ryan called me in a furious panic, saying Tiana was missing and demanding to know if I had taken her. I called the police immediately. Tiana left home of her own accord and deliberately took back alleys without surveillance cameras. That's why the police couldn't track her movements. I then asked Ryan who Tiana's young love interest was. Ryan gave the police officer information about the guy with the dyed hair. The officer immediately launched an investigation, only to find that the kid with the dyed hair had also gone missing. In the same way, this was clearly a case of two people running off together willingly. Since no crime was involved, it was a voluntary act, and Tiana was an adult. The officer told Ryan and me to try contacting Tiana ourselves. Ryan stormed out of the police station in a rage, declaring he didn't care if Tiana lived or died. I stayed behind to talk with the officers a while longer before leaving, deeply concerned. Neither Ryan nor I made any effort to look for Tiana. 6 months later, Tiana returned on her own, visibly pregnant, and demanded to marry the guy with the dyed hair. Furious, Ryan naturally refused and ordered Tiana to get an abortion and go to work. Tiana, of course, wouldn't hear of it. She threatened to kill herself and was dead set on marrying the blonde guy. Left with no other choice, Ryan had no option but to agree. When it came to the marriage arrangements, the two families clashed again over the bride price and the 5 golds, traditional betrothal gifts. The man probably thought Tiana was less valuable now that she was pregnant and was unwilling to spend money on her. Not only did he offer a mere 20,000 yuan as the bride price, but he also proposed postponing the purchase of the 5 golds, jewelry, citing the current high gold prices. After some back-and-forth negotiation, they finally settled on 60,000 yuan for the bride price, with the 5 golds being omitted. The entire bride price ended up in Vivian's pocket. 12. Tiana and her boyfriend were underage, so they didn't get a marriage license and just had a simple wedding ceremony. Ryan wouldn't allow me to attend the wedding as her mother. On the day of the wedding, I secretly met with Tiana and gave her 20,000 yuan in cash as a dowry. Tiana was moved to tears again, hugging me and saying I was the best mom in the world. I gave her 20,000, not out of kindness, but to provoke her into a complete falling out with Ryan. Just as I expected, the day after the wedding, Tiana posted a video online denouncing Ryan. In the video, she tearfully recounted the various pains inflicted by her dysfunctional family. She claimed Ryan allowed his second wife, Vivian, to mistreat her, that she grew up deprived of food and warm clothing, and that even the bride price her husband gave her was embezzled by her stepmother to support her own son. She completely omitted any mention of Ryan paying for her tutoring classes, or her own history of dropping out of school due to a teenage romance with a local troublemaker. Once posted, the video quickly went viral across the internet. Tiana even went live, pouring her heart out on stream, which sparked a wave of sympathy and outrage among netizens. However, some people also asked her why I was mysteriously absent. She immediately jumped to my defense. My mom loves me so much. She buys me clothes and gives me money. It's my dad who won't let her see me. When I got married, my dad forbade her from attending the wedding, but my mom secretly came to see me and even gave me 20,000 yuan as a dowry. After hearing her say that, everyone thought I was a good, loving mother and couldn't stop singing my praises. Ryan and Vivian didn't just sit back and watch, they soon went live as well. The pair presented evidence of enrolling Vivian in tutoring classes, as well as the matter of her dropping out due to a teenage romance. The tide of public opinion turned, and netizens began to question Tiana again. Tiana was clearly prepared. She immediately claimed that Ryan's actions were solely to use her academic achievements to put me down and to feed his own ego. She then presented evidence of Ryan threatening her and even resorting to physical violence to force her to study. As for the reason for the teenage romance, it was also a desperate attempt to escape her painful and suffocating family environment. Tiana's account sounded more pitiful, so the majority of netizens chose to side with her. Ryan is doing much better in this life than his last one. He's already a mid-level manager at a state-owned enterprise. When Tiana launched the online harassment campaign against him, Ryan was in the middle of a promotion review. Because of Tiana's stunt, his promotion was completely derailed. Furious, Ryan called me up to accuse me, asking if I had put Tiana up to it to get back at him. Of course I denied it. He then accused me of spoiling Tiana on purpose, which is why she's so rebellious. I argued back, blaming him for being too harsh on Tiana, which led to her rebelliousness. In the end, Ryan hung up the phone in a furious rage. 13. While Ryan's reputation was ruined online, Tiana didn't fare much better. After all, she wasn't a blameless victim either, and some of her own skeletons gradually came out of the closet, so, in the end, she couldn't make it in the online world. In the end, that loving father and daughter pair managed to hurt each other badly. While Tiana was expecting, I bought her a token gift of some baby supplies. She was profusely grateful to me all over again. Over the years, the money and effort I've spent on her pales in comparison to my previous life, yet it's precisely this that makes her see my love as selfless and profound. I went to the hospital on the day Tiana gave birth. She delivered a son via C-section, and her in-laws and younger husband were overjoyed. However, after she came out of the operating room, she stared blankly at the ceiling for a long time, lost in thought. A long while later, she finally shifted her vacant gaze to me and questioned me in a tone full of resentment. "Mom, why didn't you want me?" I was taken aback for a moment, but then I understood. I sighed helplessly and said, "Tiana, I wanted to take you with me back then. It was you and your father who chose each other." After a 2-second silence, a look of boundless resentment flashed in Tiana's eyes. She said through gritted teeth, "It's all my dad's fault. He's the one who took me away. It's all his fault." After blaming Ryan, she turned a resentful gaze toward me. "Mom, why weren't you stricter with me?" I felt even more helpless. "Tiana, you're your father's daughter. I can't control you. Besides, didn't I remind you to focus on your studies? You just didn't listen. I've been at the hospital for 2 days now. I should go check on your brother. I'll come see you again when I have time." Mentioning Andrew only deepened Tiana's resentment. "So, he's happy, right?" I nodded. "It's all right." Tiana's resentment reached its peak at that moment. I pretended not to see it, got up, and left. 14. I never went to see Tiana again. Tiana never reached out to me either. 3 months later, I heard that Tiana had left the guy's place, abandoning her child. She went to Vivian to demand the bride price back. Vivian, of course, refused to hand it over. A fight broke out between them. Ryan stepped in to break it up. In a fit of rage, Tiana stabbed Ryan twice. Ryan was hospitalized with severe injuries. Tiana was thrown in jail. While in the hospital, Ryan called to ask if I had returned as well. I said with a laugh, "This time, I'm stepping aside for the sake of your father-daughter bond. You must be thrilled." I hung up the phone before Ryan could start screaming at me. After Tiana was sent to prison, she asked to see me. I went. Her first words were accusations and blame. "Mom, you're back too, aren't you? So this is your revenge." I looked at her, smiling without a word. Tiana roared, "Why did you abandon me? Why did you give up on me? You've ruined my entire life. Do you even realize that?" I let out a heavy sigh. "Tiana, these were all your own choices. I never interfered with your decisions, so why are you blaming me now? In my past life, I gave her my heart and soul, yet she resented me for being too strict, claiming I ruined her youth and her love. In this life, I don't interfere with her enjoying her youth and love, and now she blames me for not caring. Some people are just born without a heart. You did this on purpose. You're trying to ruin me. You're as despicable as Ryan. I hate you. I will never forgive you. Not in a million years." I laughed indifferently. "It's fine, Tiana. Your mother will never forgive you either." Tiana broke down, hurling curses at me. I rose and left with an air of serene detachment, leaving her and all her bitterness far behind me. 2 years later, Andrew was accepted into a university in another city. To avoid being hounded by Tiana after her release from prison, I sold my old family home, moved to the city where Andrew was attending university, and never went back. Andrew has never let me down. This time, I'm enjoying the simple pleasures of my golden years, doting on my grandchildren. The end. Story 2. My roommate Lisa is all about that performative frugality. Too cheap to swipe her card for hot water in winter, she resorted to bathing with a charcoal burner in our dorm. I found Lisa passed out on the floor when I got back, called 120 immediately, and saved her life after a month of hyperbaric oxygen therapy. She slammed the 2,000 yuan medical bill right in my face. "Sylvia, I was just tired from showering and took a nap. Why did you have to send me to the hospital and stick me with a huge medical bill? Are you getting kickbacks from the hospital or something?" Then they posted a photo of me transferring money to a doctor in the grade group chat. I ended up being bullied and ostracized by all my classmates, and my boyfriend left me too. On a stormy day, Lisa secretly followed me and seized the chance to push me into the school's scenic lake. When I opened my eyes again, I had gone back to the moment I discovered Lisa's carbon monoxide poisoning. As I came to, the intense feeling of suffocation and fear lingered, and I gasped for air. It took a long while for me to gradually calm down. The dorm was thick with smoke. Lisa lay naked on the floor, a still-burning charcoal brazier beside her. I couldn't help but cough several times, choking on the fumes. In that moment, it suddenly hit me. I had been reborn. I was back to the day Lisa suffered carbon monoxide poisoning. Lisa thought using the swipe card for showers was too expensive, so she always bathed in her dorm room instead. Each time, she would sneak a few pieces of charcoal from the school cafeteria and break off some branches from the trees downstairs beforehand. Once the charcoal basin was burning and warm enough, she would start bathing. The hot water she used for bathing was actually free drinking water fetched from the water Heater room 5. I tried to convince Lisa several times that swiping her card for a shower wouldn't cost much, but she just mocked me, saying, "My family's poor, not like you," acting all high maintenance like some spoiled rich girl. After that, I stopped bothering with her. In my previous life, right after I got back to the dorm from studying at the library, I found Lisa passed out in our smoke-filled room, without a moment's hesitation. I immediately pulled her out and called for help. With the help of classmates, we opened the dormitory window and extinguished the charcoal brazier. Meanwhile, I dialed 120, the emergency number. Lisa was rushed to the emergency room just in time. I stayed with her at the hospital all night without sleeping. The next day, as soon as Lisa woke up, she complained of a splitting headache and dizziness. I persuaded her to continue treatment at the hospital, and after some hesitation, she agreed. Knowing how frugal she was, I used my own living expenses to cover her initial medical bills and hospitalization costs. But when Lisa got the bill for the second month, she stormed into the classroom and slapped it right in my face. "Sylvia, I was just tired from showering and took a nap. Why did you have to send me to the hospital and stick me with a huge medical bill? Are you getting kickbacks from the hospital or something?" I was stunned. She was the one with carbon monoxide poisoning, and she was the one complaining about the headache and dizziness. I saved her, and now I'm the one to blame. Before I could even defend myself, Lisa posted a photo of me transferring money to a doctor in the grade group chat. Sylvia hooked up with a male doctor to scam me, a financially struggling student, out of my medical expenses. She then posted her financial aid proof. Looking at the photo of me and my uncle, I immediately explained that he's my uncle. But someone in the group instantly jumped in to pour fuel on the fire. "So you deliberately took your roommate to that hospital, and then he transferred money to you? Isn't this just blatant price gouging? I've never seen such exorbitant medical fees. Must be kickbacks at play." The classmates in the group chimed in one after another to defend Lisa. No one cared about the truth. They were just there for the drama. "My uncle sent me money because he forgot my birthday and insisted on making it up to me." Little did I know she secretly filmed the moment my uncle transferred the money to me. Lisa's medical bills are so high because she stubbornly refused to get health insurance to save money. After the situation blew up, my classmates started making sarcastic remarks toward me. Photos of my uncle and me got turned into all sorts of memes and were being shared like crazy in the group chat, and Lisa just looked at me smugly. "Serves you right for making me lose all that money. I could have used it for dance lessons," all because Lisa had a crush on this rich kid at our school, and he posted on social media about how he's into girls who can dance. Once Lisa realized her dream of learning to dance was shot, she started taking her frustration out on me. This time, I saw Lisa lying unconscious and naked on the floor. I picked up my phone and dialed my counselor's number. Crying, I said, "Mr. Zachary, I think my roommate is trying to kill herself by burning charcoal. I'm so scared." This time, unlike in my previous life, I didn't scream for help. Instead, I stepped out of the dorm and closed the door behind me. When the counselor arrived, I was sitting outside the dormitory door, crying. The dorm door was slightly ajar, with thick smoke still lingering inside, and Lisa lay naked on the floor. Seeing Mr. Zachary approach, I wiped away my tears and asked, "Mr. Zachary, what should we do now?" Mr. Zachary immediately drew the curtains, opened the window, and called 120. As Lisa's only roommate, I went with Mr. Zachary to take her to the hospital. The next day, as soon as Lisa woke up, she began moaning in pain. My head, it hurts, so dizzy." Seeing this, the doctor rushed over and said, "You have severe carbon monoxide poisoning. We recommend hospitalization for hyperbaric oxygen therapy right away." Lisa's symptoms were worse than in her previous life, and she was having trouble speaking clearly, stammering, "See, can we not do this? I'll just go home and get some rest." After saying that, she glanced at me hesitantly a few times. Seeing Lisa's uncertain gaze directed at me, I immediately shifted my eyes to the window. Upon hearing Lisa's words, Teacher Zachary immediately furrowed his brows. "Lisa, matters of life and death are no joking matter. Doctor, the treatment is too expensive. Sylvia, do you think I really need hyperbaric oxygen therapy?" Seeing this, Mr. Zachary stood up and came over to me. "Sylvia, please talk some sense into her. Lisa is being far too considerate for her own good." Without looking up, I suddenly clutched my stomach in pain. "You all decide. My stomach hurts. I need to use the restroom." Seizing the chance, I slipped out of the hospital. This time, without me covering Lisa's hospitalization and treatment fees, she ended up skipping the hyperbaric oxygen therapy altogether. After returning to school and resting for a couple of days, Lisa suddenly seemed perfectly fine, as if nothing had ever happened. She kept saying to me, "Sylvia, it's a good thing I didn't go through with the hyperbaric oxygen therapy, saved a ton of money. Look how well I've recovered." I forced a smile and said, "Yeah, maybe you were just Exhausted from the bath and dozed off. Yeah, I think I must have been so exhausted that I just passed out. Before Lisa could have another episode, I immediately asked Mr. Zachary if I could switch dorms. Mr. Zachary, I'm afraid Lisa might try to take her own life again. I haven't been able to sleep at all. Mr. Zachary didn't agree. Instead, he kept defending Lisa, saying, Lisa is a great roommate. She's smart and hardworking. She said she just dozed off in the shower by accident. Sylvia, don't go around spreading rumors outside. It could affect Lisa's eligibility for awards and honors. If you talk carelessly, it might also impact your own chances for awards and recognition. The advisor was subtly threatening me, both directly and indirectly. I'm pretty sure there's something going on between Zachary and Lisa. In my previous life, Lisa spread vicious rumors and hurled insults at me in the grade group chat. Every word was utterly vile. Mr. Zachary just pretended not to see any of it. I once privately messaged Mr. Zachary, the photo in the group is of me and my uncle. Could you please remove it from the chat? He just sneered and replied, well, Sylvia, I never would have guessed you're into older men. That's my uncle. What's the big deal? We're all adults here. The teacher gets it. Own up to your actions if you have the guts. Why would Lisa single you out for no reason? Maybe you should do some self-reflection. I was completely caught off guard by Zachary's words. Memes of me and my uncle kept circulating daily in the grade group chat. As both our advisor and the group admin, Zachary did nothing to stop it, letting other students freely insult and mock me. Once again, Zachary went out of his way to defend Lisa. I couldn't just sit around waiting for things to happen anymore. A week later, I rented a place off campus and moved out. Applying for off-campus housing only requires going through the dorm management procedures. No need to get Zachary's approval. In my previous life, since we were roommates, I always had Lisa's back. I let her copy my notes, brought her meals, and often gifted her the handbags and jewelry she wanted on holidays. Even though she never reciprocated with gifts, I understood her situation and still tried my best to help her. Little did I know she would ultimately persecute me to death, so this time, I need to stay as far away from Lisa as possible. A month later, the scholarship results were announced, and I secured the national scholarship with a decisive advantage over Lisa. In my previous life, I should have won the national scholarship, but Lisa ruined my reputation, and ultimately, my eligibility was revoked. Naturally, the national scholarship went to Lisa, who is the runner-up this time. With no leverage left for Lisa, the national scholarship is undoubtedly mine. On the day the national scholarship list was announced, I saw Lisa glaring at me from the audience, her eyes filled with murderous intent. Not knowing what kind of trouble Lisa might stir up next, I had to be even more cautious. That evening, in the quiet grade-level group chat, someone anonymously posted a photo of Lisa. It was the photo of her lying naked on the dorm floor on the day she suffered carbon monoxide poisoning. Instantly, the group chat exploded with messages. Holy crap, that's insane. That silhouette looks like LX. Is that her? I heard an ambulance even showed up. Who sent this? Could it be her roommate? 5. Mr. Zachary didn't react at all, as if he hadn't seen the group message. Before long, most people in the group pointed fingers at me. Though there was no evidence, the group chat remained lively, buzzing with conversation until the early hours of the morning. The next day, as soon as I entered the classroom, Lisa rushed up to me and raised her hand to slap me. I grabbed her hand, shoved her to the ground, pinned her down, and tightly gripped her hair. Lisa thrashed on the ground, still managing to hurl insults at me. Sylvia, why did you secretly take photos of me and then spread my private pictures everywhere? I'm reporting you for your immoral behavior. I let out a derisive snort. So this is your game. Without hesitation, I immediately grabbed my phone and called the police. Seeing this, Zachary pushed through the crowd and pulled me off of Lisa. Sylvia, you need to apologize to Lisa right now and tell the police not to come. I raised an eyebrow. Why shouldn't they come? Without a hint of shame, Zachary said, everyone knows you're Lisa's roommate. If you didn't take the photo, who else could it be? Just apologize and let it go. Lisa isn't the type to hold a grudge. Upon hearing this, Lisa immediately puffed up with pride. You'd better bow your head and apologize properly. Hand over the national scholarship to me, and maybe I'll consider forgiving you. I suddenly laughed. Mr. Zachary, the police will be here any minute. You'd better delete those photos now before they arrive and catch you red-handed. Just as the words left my mouth, the sound of police sirens grew louder. Approaching the classroom, a flicker of panic crossed Zachary's face. Stop talking nonsense. I need to use the restroom first. The moment Zachary stepped out, the photos in the group were deleted, and the group itself was disbanded. When he returned, Zachary put on a bold, unapologetic expression. Sorry, everyone. My finger slipped and I accidentally disbanded the group. A faint smile crept across my lips as I looked at the deleted photos in the group. The Moment the police entered the classroom, Zachary pushed through the crowd and stepped forward, intending to shoo them away. "Sorry, officers, it was just a student playing a prank by calling the police. My apologies for the wasted trip. Please head back." As he spoke, he started ushering the two officers toward the door. The two officers exchanged glances. A false alarm. Filing a false police report is no joke. Zachary panicked and blurted out, "No, that's not what happened." I stepped forward and addressed the officers. "Officers, I'm the one who called. I want to press charges against Lisa for defamation." All eyes immediately turned toward Lisa. The two officers reviewed the situation, then examined my phone, checking the disbanded group chat and the anonymously retracted photos that had vanished. The two of them looked a bit troubled. "Too bad we don't have any photos, and the group chat's been disbanded. This is tricky." Zachary and Lisa suddenly looked relieved. I let out a cold laugh inwardly. "I have it." As I said this, I opened my photo album and showed the group chat screenshot to the police. After reading it, the two officers immediately decided to investigate the matter thoroughly. Lisa stood nearby, her eyes filled with panic. "Officers, to be honest, I'm not sure who took the photos. I'm just suspecting Sylvia." Zachary walked over and said, "Lisa, you're partly to blame here. You were exhausted from showering and just slept on the floor, giving someone the opportunity to take advantage. Listen to me, just drop it." Hearing this, Lisa immediately nodded vigorously. "Officer, I don't want to press charges. We're all classmates. It would be awkward if things got too ugly." The more scared those two looked, the more I relished it. "Officer, sharing that kind of photo is illegal." "Right, that's correct. We'll look into this thoroughly when we get back." After that, I went back to the police station with the two officers, gave a statement, and provided them with the IP address for their investigation. The investigation results came out quickly. Zachary was the one who posted the pictures. When Zachary was taken away, Lisa quietly hid behind the crowd. "Lisa, you need to help me explain this. Lisa, help me." Upon hearing this, Lisa quietly lowered her head and retreated into the crowd. When Mr. Zachary saw that Lisa was unwilling to help him, he smirked and shot her a sidelong glance. Since the photos had been deleted, the police used technical means to recover a large number of images Zachary had erased in order to solve the case. It was only then revealed that Zachary's phone contained numerous photos of Lisa in spaghetti strap pajamas, on a hotel bed, among others. The photos all show Lisa willingly letting him take pictures, but when Lisa was called to the police station, she was crying hysterically. "Officer, I have no idea what's going on. I don't understand why Mr. Zachary would be so perverted, secretly taking so many photos of me. Please make sure this monster gets what he deserves." With that, he dropped to his knees and refused to get up, no matter how they pressed her. Lisa insisted she knew nothing about the photos. Feeling betrayed by Lisa's actions, Zachary came clean and confessed everything. It turned out Lisa had been maintaining an inappropriate relationship with Zachary for a long time to secure awards and accolades. The photos in the group chat were also sent by Lisa's instruction, to frame me, but it's just Zachary's word against hers, with no evidence to back it up. Meanwhile, Lisa insists it was Zachary who secretly took those photos of her. In the end, Zachary was sentenced to 6 months in prison and lost his job as a counselor. Lisa acted as if nothing had happened, completely unfazed, continuing to attend classes every day while actively scouting for high potential prospects. Not long after, my boyfriend Cashin returned from his study abroad exchange program. When he saw I had moved off campus, Cashin didn't show concern but instead mocked me relentlessly. "When I was abroad, I lived out in the countryside to save money. How can you not even handle the hardship of dorm life? Rent is so expensive off campus. Wouldn't it be better to use that money for self-improvement? Look at your roommate, Lisa. She's taking dance classes right now." I held back my anger. "How do you know Lisa is taking dance classes?" Cashin averted his gaze. "She posted about it on her social media." After saying this, he glanced at me tentatively. "It's still better to spend money on learning new skills, don't you think?" I smirked and slapped him across the face twice. "When did you secretly add Lisa?" Cashin suddenly looked hurt. "I just randomly added her in the school's international student group chat. She added me first, but I didn't tell her I'm your boyfriend." Hearing that, I slapped him a few more times. "We're done. Get out." Turns out Cashin had been involved with Lisa all along, and that wealthy guy who loved dancing that Lisa mentioned in her past life was actually Cashin. During his exchange program abroad, Cashin backpacked across Europe, checking off all the tourist spots. It even led Lisa to mistakenly believe Cashin was some rich heir. Little did she know, Cashin actually borrowed from my scholarship to cover his living expenses as an exchange student. 5. In her previous life, Lisa wanted to take dance lessons to impress a rich second-generation heir from her social circle, but couldn't afford it due to her hyperbaric oxygen therapy expenses. That's why she held a grudge against me, convinced I'd ruined her dream of becoming a wealthy man's wife. When Cashin saw me being slandered by Lisa, he just coldly remarked, "Why couldn't you just pay for your roommate? It's not like you're short on money, your pictures are being shared everywhere, but I'm the one getting hurt. Do I have no dignity? Let's break up, and don't you dare tell anyone I was your ex-boyfriend." Just like that, our 2-year secret relationship came to an end. After my reputation was ruined, I was brutally dumped by Cashin. It was only then that I realized those two shady people had been problematic all along. The day after dumping that loser, I showed up in front of Cashin with the IOU in hand. When I went to find him in the classroom, he was bragging to a group of classmates about his study abroad experiences. He kept dropping hints that he was some kind of well-traveled rich kid. Truth is, he was just using my allowance to fund his rich kid persona. I kept spending money to chase him just because he was handsome. Cashin gradually got used to my affection and agreed to be my secret lover. He said it was to avoid being teased by others and to focus on studying. I actually fell for his nonsense, studied hard every day and won awards left and right, yet he was constantly flirting around, scheming to live off someone else's wealth later. When there was an opportunity for an exchange program abroad, he wanted to go, so I used my own scholarship money to sent him, but after he returned, having firmly established his rich second-generation persona, he dropped the act completely and did a complete 180 in how he treated me. Looking at Cashin's powdered face, I really felt like I had been blind before. As I approached, Cashin's smile instantly froze on his face, his expression hardened as he snapped, "What are you doing here? Don't even think about getting my forgiveness." I let out a cold snort, pulled out the IOU, and slammed it on the table. $40,000, you've got 1 month to pay it back." Cashin frowned, yanked me outside the classroom, and hissed, "Sylvia, what's your problem? You're making me look terrible. If you want to avoid embarrassment, just pay back the money on time." Cashin angrily pulled out his phone and said, "Fine, I'll pay it back right now." After a lot of trouble, he finally scraped together 40,000 yuan from several credit cards and paid me back. In this second chance at life, I'm going to take back everything those scumbags owe me. Lisa takes a shower once every 6 weeks. She claims frequent showers waste water and charcoal. Truth is, the charcoal's stolen from the cafeteria, the water's tapped from school supplies. She's just too lazy to bathe. Counting the days, Lisa's about to take another dormitory shower soon, and meanwhile, I secretly bought some synthetic charcoal and scattered a bit by the cafeteria's coal pile every day, waiting for Lisa to pick it up. Seeing so much loose charcoal, Lisa happily gathered a large pile into her bag and casually tossed away the freshly broken branches she'd collected. Not long after dusk settled in that evening, a video exploded across the group chat. The video shows a naked man suddenly appearing and crawling through the hallway of a girl's dormitory. He appeared weak, moving in a slow, twisted crawl amid screams. The dorm supervisor rushed over and pinned the naked man to the ground. She used a nearby plastic bag to tie the man's hands together. The guy's blurry face looked familiar, but I couldn't quite place him. Then another zoomed-in photo popped up in our grades group chat. It completely caught me off guard. The naked guy was Cashin. The girls in the dorm followed the trail and found Lisa passed out naked on the floor again. They were probably taking a romantic charcoal-heated bath together in the dorm, and ended up with carbon monoxide poisoning. In her previous life after the poisoning, Lisa insisted she had just fallen asleep from exhaustion after bathing. I vented to Cashin about Lisa's ignorance. Cashin kept arguing with me. How could taking a bath with a charcoal burner so easily lead to carbon monoxide poisoning? It's probably just the heat making people drowsy. And why are you so insistent on sending them to that particular hospital? It wouldn't have anything to do with your uncle being the director there, would it? Even though Cashin knows perfectly well that I've always been genuine and generous with people, he still enjoys taking jabs at me from time to time. Cashin, what kind of nonsense are you spouting? Even a fool knows that the emergency dispatch decides which hospital the ambulance takes patients to. Cashin was left speechless by my remark. He kept trying to pick a fight, saying, "You're overreacting anyway. Back when we used a coal stove at home, we'd sometimes get headaches and feel unwell, but a couple days rest fixed it. Can't blame them for being upset with you." My conversation with Cashin ended on a sour note, this time, with both Lisa and Cashin suffering carbon monoxide poisoning. I'm curious to see if Cashin will make a big deal out of it. Lisa and Cashin were rushed to the hospital. Cashin got out early and had milder symptoms. Lisa had already suffered brain damage from a previous carbon monoxide poisoning, though symptoms hadn't yet appeared, and this incident caused further damage. Her condition was far more severe. The moment Cashin woke up in the hospital, he begged the doctor through tears to save him immediately. "Doctor, please save me. I can't afford anything to happen. My whole family is counting on me to find a good wife and make something of myself. Doctor, I'm an exchange student studying abroad. I have a bright future ahead. My brain can't be damaged. To fully recover." Cashin took a full month off and stayed in the hospital. The doctor said it wasn't serious, just daily hyperbaric oxygen therapy at the hospital, but Cashin refused, worried about potential long-term effects. When Lisa woke up and saw Cashin by her side, she was utterly moved. She immediately wobbled out of bed and went over to check on Cashin. "Cashin, did you come to the hospital just to stay with me?" Seeing Lisa's sickly appearance, Cashin felt irritated and kicked her away from the bedside. "Get out. It's your fault I'm stuck in this hospital. Who takes a charcoal bath for two? You nearly killed me. You're paying the bill." Tearfully wiping her eyes, Lisa stared blankly at Cashin for a moment before going to settle his hospital bill. Staring at the dwindling balance in her account, Lisa hesitated before turning back toward the hospital room. "Cashin, my head is splitting and I'm dizzy. Do you think I should try hyperbaric oxygen therapy?" Cashin lifted his chin and looked at Lisa with disdain. "You don't seem that sick to me. Just go back to school and get some rest. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy is quite expensive and unnecessary. If you have the money, it's better to invest in learning new skills and improving yourself." Upon hearing this, Lisa beamed with joy and nodded emphatically. "Cashin, don't worry. I'll study dance seriously and won't embarrass you like your ex-girlfriend did." With that, she made up her mind not to waste a single penny at the hospital. Little did Lisa know that Cashin's embarrassing ex-girlfriend was actually me, the very person she'd always been jealous of. On her 7th day back at school, Lisa still hadn't attended any classes. 2 weeks later, Lisa developed delayed encephalopathy, experiencing memory loss and a rapid decline in cognitive function. By the time she realized the severity of her condition and returned to the hospital, the doctors said it was already somewhat too late, but you could try doing more hyperbaric oxygen therapy sessions. Lisa approached Cashin. "Cashin, I might have delayed encephalopathy and need hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Could you lend me some money for it?" Hearing this, Cashin bolted upright from his hospital bed. "Lisa, you're the one who caused my condition. How dare you ask me for money?" Lisa said with a hint of resentment. "But you were the one who told me to use my treatment money for dance lessons." From what Cashin gathered, Lisa was trying to pin the blame for her lingering health issues on him. He had no intention of getting entangled with Lisa. He immediately flared up. "You chose not to see a doctor to save money, and now you're trying to shake me down. We have nothing to do with each other." With that, he packed his things and promptly went to complete the discharge procedures. I also blocked all of Lisa's contact information. One evening, Lisa called me and said, "Sylvia, I have carbon monoxide poisoning and now I'm experiencing delayed encephalopathy. Could you—" Hello, what did you say? I can't hear you clearly." Before she could finish, I pretended the signal was bad and hung up the phone, then immediately turned off the phone. The next day, just turned on the phone, a video of Lisa and Cashin taking a romantic bath with a charcoal burner in their dorm started circulating and was being forwarded in various group chats. Instantly became the top story on the school forum. The conversation between the two was appalling to hear, and the footage was even more disturbing to watch. Later, as the charcoal brazier burned more and more intensely, Lisa collapsed and remained motionless. Cashin's steps also grew increasingly unsteady, and he eventually crawled out the door on his own. Lisa recorded the video with the intention of extorting money from Cashin later, or, in case she became pregnant, securing her position. But Cashin was so heartless, even causing her to suffer from carbon monoxide poisoning after effects. She began to seek revenge against Cashin. As soon as the video spread, Cashin's carefully crafted perfect rich kid image at school instantly crumbled. Our specialized class was right in the middle of a session when Cashin suddenly burst into the classroom, ignoring the teacher's scolding and attempts to stop him in class. He walked up to Lisa and slapped her across the face twice. "You bitch, did you take those photos? Are you trying to get me killed?" While uttering these vicious words, Cashin picked up a nearby stool. The moment I raised it, classmates snatched it away, so the stool never hit Lisa's head. "You just wait, I'm gonna make you pay for this." With that, he turned and stormed out of the classroom, leaving bewildered onlookers and a flustered teacher behind. But I clearly saw a sinister smirk spread across Lisa's face. It was the exact same smile she had when she pushed me into the water in my past life. 2 days later, a floating corpse appeared in the school's scenic lake. Male, approximately 180 centimeters tall. After the police arrived, they retrieved the body from the scenic lake and placed it on the wooden bridge. After turning the deceased over, the victim's face had been gnawed down to the bone by fish. Only 2 gaping holes remained where the eyes had been, the eyeballs long gone. Up close, it resembled a skull with tattered shreds of flesh and skin still clinging to it. Investigation revealed the victim was intoxicated before falling into the ornamental lake, having been stabbed in the abdomen with a knife. The body was found floating in the lake after 2 days. DNA testing confirmed the victim was Cashin. School surveillance footage revealed that 2 nights prior, a figure in a black raincoat stabbed Cashin multiple times while he was intoxicated, then pushed him into the scenic lake. Police quickly traced Cashin's social circle and recent contacts, identifying Lisa as a suspect. Lisa was taken to the police station. However, due to delayed encephalopathy, Lisa was becoming increasingly lethargic and showing signs of mental confusion. She occasionally exhibited symptoms such as inability to understand the police and incontinence. Seeing this, the police had no choice but to send Lisa to the hospital for treatment first, with questioning to follow later. Lisa received a month of hospital treatment, but her condition showed no improvement, with her cognitive abilities deteriorating progressively. The case had to be repeatedly postponed. Eventually, the hospital, facing persistent unpaid medical bills, discontinued Lisa's treatment. The school had no choice but to contact Lisa's parents to arrange for her to be taken home. Little did anyone expect that Lisa's parents would cause a scene the moment they arrived at the school. "It's your school that ruined our daughter. Pay up." They then proceeded to throw a tantrum, rolling on the ground right at the school entrance. Under pressure, the school negotiated a compensation of 200,000 yuan to Lisa's parents. Upon hearing this, Lisa's parents exchanged a glance and said, "No way, at least 400,000, we have 2 sons to marry off." Seeing Lisa's parents pushing their luck, the school flatly refused to compensate and chose to be sued by Lisa's parents. The investigation revealed that Lisa had stolen the charcoal from the cafeteria, and using a charcoal brazier in the dormitory was strictly prohibited. Lisa's delayed encephalopathy is unrelated to the school. However, out of humanitarian consideration, the school eventually compensated Lisa with 50,000 yuan for her medical expenses. After a heated dispute, their demand dropped from 200,000 to 50,000 yuan, and Lisa's parents ultimately took her home in disgrace. Lisa was dragged away by her parents while being constantly scolded and hit. "You good for nothing, you've already lost 50,000, what good is that? How are your 2 younger brothers supposed to get married? Dear, when you get back, hurry up and find Lisa a family with a high bride price. We can't afford to keep her." Lisa's father replied with a smile, all right. Watching Lisa's family walk away, I felt a mix of emotions I couldn't put into words. Lisa has been left mentally impaired due to carbon monoxide poisoning, and it's unclear how much longer she has to live, yet her family continues to exploit what little value she has left. But these are the consequences of her own actions, and she must bear them alone. Months later, rumors began to circulate that Lisa had died. After being released from prison, Zachary still intended to find Lisa to teach her a lesson, but he ended up arriving just in time for her funeral. With Lisa, Zachary, and Cashin all gone, my campus life returned to its peaceful state. I began to cherish this tranquil and beautiful campus life even more, striving to make the most of each day. No longer living for others, only for myself. The end. Story 2. My sister and I were both sent by our family for arranged marriages. Neve, don't blame your father and mother for favoring your sister. She's the purest-blooded mermaid. Only she is worthy of the Carp King after his ascension to dragonhood, as a mermaid princess of noble lineage. My sister was betrothed to the Carp King, who had successfully transformed into a dragon by leaping through the dragon gate. Before I could speak, my sister Vixen interjected, "Father, the younger princess has always preferred handsome men. How could she possibly endure the hideous North Sea Leviathan, while I was promised to the hideous Kraken of the North Sea with its 8 writhing tentacles?" The Emperor frowned. "Vixen, are you certain? No matter how powerful the North Sea Leviathan is, it remains a demonic creature. The Carp King, once transformed, could lead you into the celestial realms." But later, the newly dragonized Carp King was captured by celestial immortals and prepared as the legendary delicacy dragon liver and phoenix marrow. Vixen nodded with unwavering resolve. "I've made my decision, Father." The Kraken of the North Sea had evolved into the terrifying Cthulhu, a deity so powerful that even the celestial gods were powerless against it. Seeing this, I knew Vixen had also been reborn, consumed by jealousy. My elder sister used forbidden magic to dissolve my body into sea foam. In our past lives, the Carp King River made quite a splash when leaping through the dragon gate. When I opened my eyes again, we had returned to the day of the political marriage, just as Buddha fed his flesh to eagles. Now you, Vixen, willingly descend into hell for your sister. This time, my sister swapped our betrothal arrangements without hesitation, pretending not to catch Vixen's implied meaning. I gave her a grateful nod. My sister has a thing for good looks, and the Kraken is hideous. I'll handle this, my elder sister declared with righteous determination. Only Vixen wore a mocking smirk of schadenfreude while others gazed at the Koi King with admiration. That single sentence told me she'd been reborn too. I shot Vixen a frosty glance before gliding through the crowd of demons with the Koi King, but she didn't know that octopus fed on negative emotions, its temperament as violent as the abyss. Staying by its side would eventually corrupt her into a monster. Finally, I turned to him and pleaded, "River, I want to ascend to the celestial realm with you. Could you linger in the mortal world a little longer for me? One River lazily stroked my hair with a smile. My love, now that I've transformed into a dragon, wouldn't taking you to the celestial realm be just as good? River looked at me with surprise. River frowned, taking my words to heart. The moment I opened my eyes, I heard my father Emperor's deep voice. Then, seeing River's deeply concerned expression, I pulled him into a tight embrace. In that instant, I realized I'd been reborn. River, thank goodness you're okay. I sobbed in panic. I'd returned to the very day in my past life when my sister and I were to be wed to other aquatic clans. Darling, what were you dreaming about? Last night you kept having nightmares. I wanted to wake you, but feared I might startle you. River gazed at me with concern. River's expression froze instantly. Then I clutched River's arm tightly and said, River, have you heard the folk tales? They say celestial immortals feast on dragon livers and phoenix marrow to enhance their cultivation. Perhaps I should marry the kraken instead, and betroth my royal sister to the koi king. River's eyes suddenly widened like saucers. I turned to River again and asked, River, think about it. Have your ancestors ever reached out after their dragon transformation? River shook their head solemnly at my question. River gave a slight shake of the head. Never. We assumed celestial beings weren't permitted to contact the mortal realm, never questioned it. River drew a deep breath at this moment. The Emperor could only nod in acquiescence. As long as River doesn't rush into the celestial realm for now, he won't get captured by the immortals waiting at the entrance and turned into a dish. It wasn't until dusk that River returned with a grim expression. My love, what you said might all be true. Our ancestors who transformed into dragons and ascended, they might have truly been devoured by those immortals. River clenched his fists so tightly his knuckles turned white. Seeing River's face contorted with rage yet filled with sorrowful confusion in his eyes, I immediately stepped forward and gently embraced him. River, don't be upset. If the immortals see us as mere pawns, then perhaps the celestial realm isn't worth visiting for now. Nearly all aquatic demon clans gathered beneath the dragon gate to witness his tribulation. Seeing my words, River's expression gradually calmed. The virtuous golden carp king had accumulated immense merit through good deeds, allowing him to effortlessly clear the dragon gate, an insurmountable barrier for ordinary carps, and successfully transform into a dragon. My love, what's your plan? River asked with hopeful eyes. Upon learning this, my sister immediately chose the koi king for the political marriage alliance. I narrowed my eyes slightly before smiling at River. Even immortals wouldn't dare meddle with karma lightly. She hoped to ascend to the celestial realm through the koi king's divine power. River, now that you've successfully transformed into a dragon, isn't it only natural for you to protect the people of this land? Left with no choice, I had to marry the formidable but hideous kraken of the North Sea, whose true form was an octopus. Hearing my words, River quickly caught on, his eyes lighting up with realization. Yet none of us anticipated that the koi king, envied by countless demons, would be hooked by a cloud-dwelling immortal before ascending. His dragon liver was harvested to prepare the celestial delicacy dragon liver and phoenix marrow. How could I forget? The reason I could leap through the dragon gate so effortlessly was precisely because my millennia of charitable deeds earned heaven's favor. River smacked his own forehead. Only true dragons of pure bloodline, capable of summoning clouds and rain, held any standing in the celestial realm. Untouchable by all, on the third day after River and I wed, my sister was sent to the kraken's domain in the North Sea. Dragons like the carp king who ascended through sheer effort, or those serpents who cultivated into dragonhood, were mere trifles in the eyes of the immortals. Meanwhile, River and I took human form and descended into the mortal realm to the celestials. Any dragon not born as one was but a counterfeit, mere ingredients for divine delicacies like dragon liver and phoenix marrow, to be consumed at whim. With my abilities, I soon became the royal advisor trusted by the Emperor, while elevating River to the status of a divine savior. Those transformed dragons, yearning for ascension, dreamed of celestial glory, oblivious that to the immortals, they were like fish leaping from water, snatched and devoured the moment they surfaced. Wherever calamity struck, there you'd find the holy River. At the critical moment, the elder sister was flung down to the mortal realm by the golden koi king's tail. Thus, River's following grew ever larger, though she narrowly escaped disaster. The image of the golden koi king being hooked haunted her thoughts relentlessly. Not to mention River has genuinely performed countless good deeds over the years, saving innumerable lives. After returning, she became restless day and night, her spiritual focus shattered, her cultivation regressing instead of advancing. In the 10th year, River began radiating a golden aura of virtue, but just then, the kraken of the North Sea evolved. River and I stood midair, watching the colossal waves churning in the distance. No one knows how he cultivated his powers, but by devouring endless Streams of human negativity, he ultimately transformed into an indescribable Cthulhu-like eldritch deity. The moment the Kraken vanished, I immediately pulled River down into the sea. When the celestial realm learned of this, they dispatched countless heavenly soldiers and generals to exterminate him. After returning to the sea, River and I each went to our respective clans to evacuate our people to safer waters. Yet the Kraken of the North Sea was already the undisputed ruler of the ocean depths. Dwelling in lightless abysses beyond mortal measure, Neve makes a valid point. The celestial beings have never regarded us demon folk as equals. If they truly hold us accountable, we'd be utterly defenseless. Even we aquatic races bearing water-repelling pearls dare not approach those depths, let alone celestial beings unaccustomed to aquatic environments. River immediately relocated all clan members to distant waters without delay. The evolved Kraken had vanished without a trace, though the Immortals marshaled grand forces. When battle commenced, the sea monster was nowhere to be found, but instead of concerning myself with the conflict between the Kraken and the celestial realm, I joined River in studying ordinary octopuses we caught from the sea. To flush out the Kraken, they slaughtered countless sea creatures. River, the Kraken has 9 brains and 3 hearts inside its body. To truly defeat it, you must destroy all these vital organs. Knowing I was the Kraken's mate, they specifically captured merfolk clansmen and butchered them in cold blood. River stared at me in astonishment. When they finally located the Kraken, its countless eyes emerging from the suckers ensnared their minds. Driven to madness, their bodies twisted into grotesque forms, becoming pollution-controlled abominations. In her past life, she'd witnessed how River the Dragon was casually reeled in by an immortal using just a fishing rod. The celestial realm had no choice but to halt their campaign against the Kraken and sue for peace. I immediately grabbed River and fled the scene at full speed. I barely managed to escape back to the Merfolk clan during the Kraken's slumber. I wish I could tear Vixen's filthy mouth apart right now, but there's nothing I can do. But before I could reveal the Kraken's weakness, my sister, the Merfolk heir, slapped me hard across the face, though Vixen alone provoked them. These immortals still vented their rage by slaughtering defenseless, innocent mermaids. I thought she blamed me for our kin's deaths, perhaps due to Vixen's constant instigation. The Kraken began surfacing periodically, corrupting immortals into mindless monstrosities. It wasn't until she cast the mermaid clan's forbidden spell on me that I realized her jealousy. The Kraken I'd chosen had become a being even the celestial realm feared, as the Holy Sun was their immediate protector. Increasingly more devotees prayed fervently for River to vanquish the Kraken. Then she hurled me out of the sea. River amassed an immense amount of divine power in a remarkably short time, growing increasingly formidable. As sunlight touched me, my body uncontrollably dissolved into foam, vanishing beneath the waves. Even though the celestial beings have now discovered River's existence, they no longer dare to capture and consume them as mere ingredients like before. Remembering my past life, I turned to my sister with heartfelt gratitude, for though River hasn't yet ascended to the celestial realm, they've already become a true deity capable of protecting entire regions. Thank you for yielding to me, dear sister. Gazing at the majestic true dragon soaring through the heavens, River clenched their fists. I reached out and grasped his hand, whispering reassurance. River, the day will come when they'll have to treat you as an equal. River gradually calmed down upon hearing my words. My dearest sister, my gratitude to you knows no bounds. On the day my elder sister married River in our past lives, I was still being cornered and harassed by our clansmen too. River happened to witness the bullying and immediately stepped forward to stop them without hesitation. After the marriage was settled, their majesties sent messengers to inform both the Khoi clan and the Kraken of the North Sea a kind, gentle and courageous being like River doesn't deserve to end up as an immortal's meal. My sister finally approached me and gave my shoulder a gentle pat. In this life, I won't let River suffer the same tragic fate as before. With barely concealed schadenfreude, she said, Dear sister, do remember to get along well with the Khoi king when you join their clan. I whispered to River at that moment, River, it's your show now. After all, once that Khoi king ascends to the celestial realm, he'll end up as nothing more than an immortal's dinner. River gave me a solemn nod, then transformed into a golden-scaled dragon that soared into the sky. Seeing me block her way, my sister snapped impatiently, Get lost, Neve. Mind your own business or I'll kill you too. Let's see if you've got what it takes, I retorted, thrusting my sword straight at Vixen. Don't worry, sis. I've got this. All these years, I've been busy helping River scheme to plunder mortal worship, but I've heard that Kraken is terrifying. You should be careful too. I reminded her kindly when my blade pierced Vixen's heart, her face twisted in utter disbelief. My sister eyed me warily, as if afraid I'd go back on my word and compete with her. At that moment, a black tentacle suddenly burst from Vixen's chest and lunged straight at me. That's none of your concern, sister said coldly. I've always preferred powerful demon clans. Those fine needles River had fired earlier were actually crafted from ambergris. I gave a slight nod. Just as the Kraken's brain inside Vixen was about to escape through her chest into the sea, River swooped in, plunging her claws into her sister's body and crushing the last remaining brain. Understood. Wishing you a blissful marriage. Sister, in other words, it was River who delivered the krakens. Final blow, my sister tilted her chin up arrogantly and scoffed, as if I needed your blessing. This battle brought River into the sight of all celestial beings, then she turned away with a self-satisfied air. After the kraken's defeat, eyewitnesses who saw River's draconic transformation spread the word far and wide. After my sister left, I flicked my blue tail and surfaced, perching on a reef to catch my breath. More devotees began building dragon shrines in River's honor, watching the sunrise at the horizon's edge. I let out a long sigh at this time. The celestial realm could no longer turn a blind eye to River's existence, but soon, distant waves began roaring across the sea, transforming the tranquil waters into a terrifying maelstrom. The war goddess even took the initiative to approach River, asking, "How did you know the dark god's weakness?" Amid the crashing waves, monstrous tentacles thrashed wildly beneath the surface. River replied calmly, "My wife told me all this, I merely followed her instructions." I knew it, that was the kraken. Hearing River's words, I was deeply moved. Even before its evolution, it measured over 300 meters long. After evolving, it stretched a staggering 500 meters, truly a leviathan of the deep, but River didn't seem to care about that. Thankfully, there's only one such kraken in these entire waters, River, and I naturally agreed otherwise. With the kraken's power, we sea folk wouldn't stand a chance for our merits in slaying the evil deity. Both River and I received celestial honors from the Heavenly Emperor, securing our official positions in the immortal realm. Yet in my past life, when I was betrothed to such a horrifying creature, my own sister actually envied me. She only saw the kraken's power to rival the celestial realm, but failed to recognize the true nature of this abomination. Were it not for being his lawful consort bound by covenant, I too would have been transformed into one of those festering, pustule-covered monstrosities. After one fleeting glance at the writhing tentacles in the distance, I plunged into the sea without hesitation. In this lifetime, I want nothing to do with the Kraken. 3. With the Koi King's successful dragon transformation and the Mermaid Koi alliance sealed, both clans decided to celebrate these joyous occasions together by holding the Ascension ceremony and wedding on the same day. The date was set for 7 days later. I actually have a rather favorable impression of the Koi King. Almost every household knows the legend of carp transforming into dragons by leaping over the dragon gate, but for the carp, clearing the dragon gate is no easy feat. Legend says only virtuous carp bearing merit perceive the gate as low enough to leap across effortlessly, yet for some carp, the gate remains as distant as unreachable clouds. No matter how desperately they strive, the threshold stays beyond their grasp. Thus, a carp's transformation into a dragon is a perilous journey against all odds, yet in its past life, the Golden Koi King effortlessly leaped over the dragon gate to achieve divinity. When entering the celestial realm with its sister, it instantly flicked her back to the sea with its tail upon being hooked by an immortal. Every single act proves this Golden Koi King truly possesses honor and loyalty. The cruel irony was that he only realized upon death. His lifelong struggle to break racial constraints had merely turned him into an immortal's delicacy. Those lofty celestials never once valued his millennium of cultivation, nor did they ever regard demonkind lives as worthy. But tell me, by what right, just because we're not born as true dragons, does that mean we deserve to be treated as ingredients for you immortals to harvest? It will we demon folk cultivate with our lives on the line, not to end up on your celestial dining tables. This time, I'll make sure the Koi King survives, whether fate allows it or not. For 7 days later, our wedding with the Koi King was held at the Crystal Palace of the Koi clan. The transformed Koi King now sports tiny dragon horns on his head, looking utterly adorable. An imposing draconic aura radiates from him, unlike anything his Koi brethren possess. Meeting my gaze, he offered a tender smile tinged with nervousness and bashfulness. I returned a gentle smile as we solemnly forged our cultivation partner covenant. After the marital vow ceremony concluded, the Koi King publicly declared he would spend 1 more year consolidating his earthly affairs before ascending to the celestial realm. Many attending demon guests couldn't conceal their envious gazes. The celestial realm, what demon wouldn't yearn to glimpse the celestial realm? Yet that place remains forever beyond reach for most demonic beings in their lifetime. After the ceremony, I exhausted every trick in the book to pamper the Koi King into blissful contentment. After all, pillow talk only works when timed right. Once we reach the immortal realm, your cultivation progress will accelerate. I shook my head slightly at him. I'd rather ascend to the immortal realm through my own strength. For some reason, the thought of celestial ascension leaves me with this lingering unease, I said with a troubled expression. Really? I nodded gravely. You must have heard, we merfolk each have our unique gifts. My sister excels in healing, while my talent lies in prophetic dreams. So whenever I feel unsettled, something significant is bound to happen. Truth be told, I've had This nagging unease throughout today's wedding ceremony. I sighed softly. Still, they comforted me, saying, maybe you're just exhausted lately, get some rest first. No matter what happens, I'll always be here for you. I nodded at their words. 5. In the dead of night, I pretended to be tormented by nightmares, startling occasionally on purpose. It wasn't until next morning that I woke up with visible exhaustion. He immediately reached out to gently pat my back, legend says, forcibly waking someone from a nightmare can fracture their soul. That's why he dared not rouse me. I stared at him unblinking before whispering with ashen lips, I dreamed, when you ascended to the celestial realm, an immortal sitting in the heavens hooked you like a fish. With just a flick of his fishing rod, silken threads bound your body helplessly. He carved out your dragon liver for a feast, and wrenched your tendons to forge weapons. After a pause, they quickly reassured me, don't scare yourself like that. I'm a dragon now, even immortals wouldn't dare mess with me lightly. I shook my head. I could distinctly feel his heartbeat quickening at that moment. No, once our ancestors ascended as dragons, all contact ceased. I pressed on, even with the celestial divide. Sending word to mortal descendants shouldn't be difficult for immortals, should it? Have you never questioned why your ascended ancestors never once reached out to you? But what if they weren't forbidden? I pressed, but simply unable to. He turned to me and said, you rest here, I'll consult the clan elders to see if we can use ancestral rites to contact our ascended forebears. I nodded. All right, go quickly, I replied, secretly relieved. There was still room to maneuver in this situation. 6. Through forbidden arts, we elders tried contacting our ascended ancestors, but none responded. One blood-related elder sacrificed his lineage and remaining lifespan through dark rituals, only to sense our forefathers' demise, the thought of having endured countless hardships to finally leap through the dragon gate and transform, only to be hooked by an immortal and served as a dish before even entering the celestial realm, filled him with bitter resentment. But if we ever do go, we must ensure they never get the chance to capture and devour us. Right, virtue merits. With abundant virtue merits to my name, even immortals would think twice before crossing me. I nodded with a smile. Even immortals would dare devour a dragon evolved from other species, but none would dare touch a dragon worshipped by humans for its great virtues. These mortal tributes shall be ours. 7. When the north suffered severe drought, the Holy Child prayed for rain, bringing 3 days and nights of torrential downpour. As sea monsters terrorized coastal villages, the Holy Child vanquished the creatures and rescued fishermen stranded at sea. When evil spirits plagued the city, the Holy Child purged the malevolent forces, restoring peace to the people. Gradually, the people began enshrining statues and portraits of the Holy Child in their homes. The Emperor placed such faith in us that he ordered dragon temples to be built across the land. To the common folk, whoever fulfills their prayers deserves their worship and offerings. Our efforts finally bore abundant fruit. The immortals monitoring their worship offerings suddenly sensed something amiss. Before they could react, news broke that the Kraken of the North Sea had evolved into the eldritch god Cthulhu. Just like in its past life, the Kraken had evolved into a 500-meter behemoth, wreaking havoc across the northern sea. Above the clouds, countless celestial soldiers formed dark, imposing phalanxes, glaring menacingly at the Kraken below. But before these immortals could act, the Kraken plunged beneath the waves, vanishing without a trace. Seeing this, several immortals immediately charged toward the Kraken, but in the blink of an eye, their bodies were impaled by thick tentacles and mercilessly flung into the sea. By the time the other immortals realized what was happening, it was too late. The Kraken had already vanished into the vast ocean. 8. Though both we and the Kraken dwell in the ocean depths, the habitable zones for ordinary sea creatures and those suitable for the Kraken exist on entirely different levels. In my past life, had the Kraken not given me that demon core from one of its tentacles, I wouldn't have survived those abyssal depths of tens of thousands meters. Waterfolk or not, the sheer water pressure alone would have crushed me flat. Father, mother, I address the king and queen. Since elder sister is the consort of the northern sea Leviathan, I fear the celestial realm may retaliate against our merfolk. Perhaps you should lead our people to temporary refuge. The queen mother glared at me with displeasure. How is this your sister's fault? Had she not yielded her marriage to you, would she now be entangled with that accursed deity? Instead of showing gratitude, you dare suggest she'd bring calamity upon our kin. I remained silent at mother's words, only casting a glance toward father. Fortunately, father kept his composure. Immediately, father divided our clan into several groups to flee and hide across different seas. When gods fight, mortals suffer. By the time the immortal and the Kraken start battling, it'll be too late to flee. 9. I understand the Kraken avoids direct confrontation now because it's freshly evolved and hasn't fully mastered its new power. Once he fully masters his powers, he won't need to hide anymore, though right now it likely only has 8 brains, something the celestial realm hasn't figured out yet. When the battle begins, we must seize the chance to destroy the Kraken's last brain. That'll be our crowning achievement. Once we ascend, no one will dare lay a finger on you. How did you know? I smiled faintly, saw it in a dream. It wasn't until the Kraken was severely wounded in its celestial war that I realized the demon core it forced me to swallow was actually one of its cerebral nodes. With this neural anchor, even if the immortal slew its physical form, the abomination could always regenerate. That's why my sister's death became necessary to truly eradicate the Kraken. Ironically, when my sister killed me in our past life, she unknowingly destroyed the beast's failsafe mechanism, but in this life, it'll be my sister who meets her end. She only sees the Kraken's power forcing even the celestial realm to retreat, unaware of the immortals' profound reserves. Their true masters haven't even lifted a finger yet. I never believed the Kraken could single-handedly stand against the entire celestial realm. After all, he's an eldritch deity. The celestial realm would never tolerate the existence of such a formidable and terrifying evil deity, allowing the mortal world to descend into chaos and depriving them of divine worship. This so-called peace offering is merely a stalling tactic. Once the celestial realm acquires an artifact capable of slaying the Kraken of the North Sea, they will undoubtedly move to eliminate him for good. My current objective is to strategize how to snatch the pivotal credit for slaying the Kraken right from under the noses of the celestial realm's elite. 10. When the Kraken became a malevolent deity, the entire North Sea fell under the immortals' relentless surveillance. Just like in their past lives, countless innocent sea creatures were casually slaughtered by patrolling immortals with utter disdain. They resumed their eternal hunt for the merfolk, as they had in previous incarnations, but the Sea King had already ordered our people into hiding, so they hadn't yet discovered any merfolk clansmen. Unlike my past life, the Kraken resurfaced with alarming speed this time. My sister stood triumphantly atop its colossal form, her eyes now glowing an unnatural crimson. That sight confirmed it. Her body had been corrupted, reduced to nothing but the Kraken's puppet. Not that it surprised me. Her selfish nature always mirrored the beast's vile temperament. Perhaps this corruption was her own willing choice. Otherwise, the Kraken of the North Sea wouldn't have let her keep her consciousness. My husband is now a Cthulhu deity, entitled to stand as equals with the celestial gods. If you wish to spare innocent immortals from slaughter, show some sincerity. My sister taunted the gathered deities, yet she failed to consider which of these ascended immortals hadn't endured countless trials to reach the celestial realm. How could anyone not seethe with rage when being provoked by this mermaid who's just borrowing power from others? Immediately, an immortal produced a fishing rod and cast it toward the elder sister with an icy expression. How dare a mere water sprite challenge us immortals? You're courting death. The next instant, the translucent fishing line pierced through space, arriving before the elder sister in a flash. The moment big sister saw that fishing rod, her entire body trembled with terror, but with a Kraken's brain residing within her, how could she allow Big Sister to be harmed so easily? With a single whip-like motion, the massive tentacle effortlessly snapped the transparent fishing line. The immortal clutching his fishing rod turned ashen-faced as he watched it snap in two. Seeing this, the elder sister's expression grew even more smug. "Ha, you dare consider yourselves worthy opponents for my husband? Surrender your treasures if you value your lives, lest you learn the consequences the hard way." The armored leader raised his weapon coldly at my sister's words, declaring, "The dignity of the immortal realm shall not be challenged. Deploy the Heaven's Net formation attack." As the command echoed, the celestial formation the immortals had prepared earlier materialized across the sea surface. A flicker of panic crossed my sister's face, but recalling the combat prowess of the North Sea Leviathan from her past life, she quickly regained her composure. In the next instant, the Kraken and the immortals clashed in battle, for I knew once the eyes on the Kraken's suckers opened, no living creature within 100 miles could escape her corrupting influence. Soon enough, these people would all become grotesque monsters devoid of their own will. But if we can suppress those eyes, the Kraken's eldritch powers will be sealed away, and what he truly fears, I might be the only soul in this world who knows. Though now is not yet the time for me to intervene. 11. This battle ended just as in past lives. The celestial realm suffered devastating losses. Even after the war ended, my sister kept provoking the Kraken relentlessly. So-called immortals, utterly pathetic, can't even handle a single tentacle from my husband. The remaining immortals' faces twisted in fury at her words, likely due to her taunts. The celestial realm abandoned their past strategy of seeking peace with the Kraken. Instead, they began sending forces to hunt and attack him at every opportunity. My sister's actions drew Too much hostility, and even the celestial realm began targeting our mermaid kin, hunting and slaughtering us mercilessly. Our scattered people were eventually tracked down and slaughtered by those immortal bastards, one after another. My heart burned with hatred for those so-called immortals and their wanton slaughter of innocents. Even the emperor and empress couldn't escape this calamity. This ultimately enraged the entire celestial realm. This only strengthened their resolve to never let the Kraken escape justice, should the evil deity Cthulhu be allowed to persist. Not just the mortal realm, even the celestial domains would descend into hellish ruin. When mortals learned of the Kraken's existence, they lit incense and prayed fervently to every known deity for deliverance. As Jinha's sister continued provoking conflicts, the celestial realm finally dispatched their ultimate weapon, summoning the legendary war god from his secluded cultivation. The silver-armored warrior woman immediately manifested her celestial form upon spotting the Kraken, engaging the sea monster in fierce combat. True to her title as war goddess, she fought with terrifying ferocity, piercing 2 hearts and 6 brains of the Kraken despite its overwhelming corruptive aura. The wounded Kraken hastily retreated into the abyss, coiling around the maiden's figure as it dove. At that moment, an ancient dragon wielded a legendary artifact said to contain infinite seawater, siphoning the ocean's surface to flush out the fleeing monstrosity. What a pity it ended in failure after all. 12. I could see the resentment burning within him. They're all dragons, yet the trueborn ones are deemed superior simply by virtue of their natural lineage, while those who transform through cultivation are reduced to mere delicacies on celestial dining tables. It's as if fate mocks them. Abandon your struggles, for they're utterly futile. What's the point of relentless training and desperate effort when you'll still end up as premium ingredients for immortals who wouldn't feel hatred and resentment upon learning the truth? You're right, I'll make it happen. Then he held me tighter and said, darling, thank goodness you're by my side. Without you, I'd have been devoured by them long ago. Thank you for always being by my side. I smiled faintly and kissed the corner of his lips. You're my cultivation partner. Of course I'll protect and accompany you. Ever since childhood, I've never been the favored one in my family. My prophetic dreams always foretold misfortune, and my cultivation talent paled in comparison to my elder sisters. The clan members feared my words would bring them misfortune, so they kept their distance from me. It was the first time someone had ever stood up to protect me. If he isn't worthy of ascension, then who is? 13. Severely wounded, the Kraken of the North Sea didn't resurface afterward, yet they still underestimated the profound foundations of the celestial realm. Tracking the Kraken's whereabouts proved challenging, but meddling with my sister's condition was far simpler for them. Thus, even when the Kraken didn't resurface, the immortals still pinpointed its location, just as I'd anticipated. The celestial beings couldn't wage war at oceanic depths of tens of thousands meters. Knowing the Kraken's position didn't grant them the ability to engage in deep-sea combat. After all, the ocean is the Kraken's natural domain. After deliberation, the celestial beings resorted to a brute force approach. They commanded the 4 dragon kings to drain the North Sea using divine artifacts. This would force the Kraken to reveal itself. In an instant, several dragon kings produced palm-sized alms bowls and cast them over the North Sea. Countless waters were immediately siphoned into the vessels. Coastal villagers witnessing this spectacle fell to their knees in terrified prostration. As the North Sea's waters rapidly receded, the Kraken was forced to reveal itself. The war goddess brandished her spear and lunged forward in a flash. But just as she was about to strike, eerie eyeballs emerged from the suction cups on the 8 tentacles. The surrounding space instantly twisted into chaotic disarray. This time, however, the celestial beings were prepared and swiftly retreated. As the war goddess clashed with the Kraken, he suddenly spewed countless fine needles toward the beast's eyes. The ordinary needles, concealed by seawater, went completely unnoticed by the Kraken. By the time it realized, it was already too late. The whizzing needles pierced his eyeballs, sending him into a frenzied agony as his 8 tentacles flailed wildly. Seizing the Kraken's momentary daze, the war goddess struck decisively, impaling his last remaining heart and what remained of his brains. Hidden in the shadows, my sister paled at the sight and immediately tried to slip away in the chaos. But did I really look like I'd let her escape? Sister, where exactly are you planning to go? I glared at her icily. That damned bitch. If she hadn't been constantly provoking the celestial realm, would those immortals have slaughtered our mermaid kin in their vengeful rage? She deserves to die, yet I've never dared neglect my own cultivation for even a moment. So what if elder sister possesses the mind of a Kraken? I could kill her just the same, but I was ready. I flung a handful of ambergris straight at the writhing appendage. The tentacle instantly recoiled. A faint smile tugged at my lips. Indeed, the mighty Kraken of the North Sea, impervious to divine weapons, fears nothing more than ambergris. I stumbled upon the Kraken's weakness quite by accident in my past life. Back then, a sperm whale happened to wander into the Kraken's domain, yet this ordinary whale, not even awakened to sentience, provoked the Kraken into an uncharacteristically brutal attack, tearing its body into crimson mist. The ambergris left behind was buried deep beneath the waves. As if the kraken feared it profoundly, on several later occasions when encountering sperm whales, the kraken would likewise slay them, harvesting their ambergris before burying it deep beneath the waves. In an instant, the kraken's massive body plunged violently into the ocean depths, all signs of life extinguished. Anyone daring to harm him now would be striking at the hero who vanquished the evil deity. 14. No wonder the Holy Child commands such power, bringing rain at will. He truly is the incarnation of a divine dragon. May the Holy Child bless us with favorable weather and a bountiful harvest next year. Soon, countless commoners learned of the Holy Child's confrontation with the evil deity. A selfish person would have claimed all the credit for themselves by now. Facing the war goddess's inquiry, I calmly replied, just a hunch. Everything in nature has its counterbalance. No matter how powerful the kraken is, it's still an octopus prey for sperm whales. So I wondered if something from a sperm whale could subdue it. To my surprise, it actually worked. The war goddess stared at me in astonishment before remarking, "That's some bold thinking, but thank the heavens your gamble paid off." With that, she personally invited us to the celestial realm. Afterward, we'd frequently patrol the celestial gates, disrupting any immortal we caught fishing for newly ascended dragons, saving every soul we could. This way, we honored our original vow to defy the fate of being prey. After several more millennia, the celestial realm finally saw a significant increase in dragons transformed from other races. Story 2. Before the apocalypse, my boyfriend was reborn. He began hoarding supplies frantically, waiting for the apocalypse to arrive so he could live a life of luxury with his mistress. But the apocalypse never came, because I was also reborn and reported the impending apocalypse to the authorities. The world remained peaceful and serene. Meanwhile, my boyfriend went bankrupt and was pursued by loan sharks for his debts. In my past life, my boyfriend and his mistress, in their bid to escape, pushed me into a horde of zombies. Watching their relieved smiles as they escaped, I endured the excruciating pain of being bitten. Using my last ounce of willpower, I dashed out of the zombie horde, catching up to them and managed to bite each of them once. Thus, we all became zombies, staring at each other in disbelief. A sudden thunderclap outside the window jolted me awake. I found myself lying on the big bed in my bedroom, warm, soft, and safe. Was it all just a nightmare? I nervously touched my neck, where it felt as though the pain of being bitten by zombies still lingered. Suddenly, my phone rang, displaying Peter, my boyfriend. I answered the call. "Sadie, let's discuss the dowry again. 188,000 is really too much." I felt a surge of anxiety. In the dream, there was a similar situation. Peter said his family couldn't afford so much and asked if the dowry could be reduced to 88,000. Could it be that it wasn't a nightmare? Had Peter really caused my death? And then, I was reborn. My family really can't afford so much. Can we do without a dowry? How about a simple marriage? I immediately became alarmed. This excuse was different from the previous life. Could it be he was also reborn? Get lost. I must have been blind to marry you. A mere 8-second shredded potato, and you still have the nerve to cheat, I said. Alright, the dowry doesn't matter. Let's just focus on making our life together good. My response was exactly the same as in my previous life. Being cautious was key. In my past life, our relationship was one where we could have killed each other. If he found out I was reborn, I didn't want any complications. Peter, hearing the familiar response, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, exchanged a few sweet nothings with me, and then hung up. I quickly opened the calendar and checked the date. 3 days before the apocalypse. Time was of the essence. I immediately switched to my browser and searched for news about feverish patients, skimming through the information quickly. Then I pulled out a long coat, mask, and a duckbill hat from the closet. Fully equipped, I went to a public phone booth, inserted a coin, and dialed 110. "Hello, I want to report a suspicion of drug use and trafficking." 04. The police took the report seriously. They asked for detailed information about the suspected drug users. Using my excellent memory, I recalled a significant case in our city at Golden Garden Community, Building 19. Reed was a programmer who worked long hours in the early stages of the zombie virus. He thought his mild symptoms were just a common cold and ignored them. In the later stages, he started experiencing headaches, fever, back pain, dizziness, and sluggishness. He thought it was just due to overwork and didn't take it seriously until that night. He suddenly collapsed at home, bleeding from all orifices. His wife hurriedly called an ambulance, but he suddenly lashed out, biting off her neck and then tore open her pregnant belly to devour his own child. His parents cried out and rushed to stop him, while neighbors, hearing the screams, called the police. However, the doctors and police who arrived were not spared either. At first, people thought it was just an unfortunate piece of news. It wasn't until the virus broke out repeatedly, involving everyone, that the severity became clear. The police took careful note of the clues. I reminded them, drug dealers might carry HIV, make sure to take precautions. Drug-induced hallucinations can make them aggressive. It's best to restrain them with Handcuffs and a leash. The female operator chuckled and said they were aware and would be cautious. Then she asked for my name and contact information. Hesitating, I said, just a concerned citizen. After calling the police, I hurried to the supermarket. Although I had reported to the authorities, I decided to prepare by purchasing some essential supplies just to be safe. On the way, I called my parents and advised them to stock up on food and necessities and to stay indoors for the next few days. They live in the countryside with a vegetable garden, so I wasn't too worried about them. In contrast, living in a big city and relying on takeouts, I was more likely to starve. I checked my bank account balance. With just over 10,000 left, I could manage for a few months if I budgeted tightly. At the supermarket, I picked out 20 kilograms of frozen meat. Any more wouldn't fit in my fridge. I bought several dozen eggs, which can be stored at room temperature for a month, and a few kilograms of vegetables, which wouldn't last half a month before spoiling. Fruits spoil easily too, so I only got a few kilograms of oranges and opted for more storage-friendly fruits like grapefruits and apples. Staples like rice, flour, beans, and oil could be bought in larger quantities, but my small rented apartment didn't have the space, so I just bought a few dozen kilograms. I also picked up some canned meat, compressed biscuits, instant noodles, bottled water, seasonings, milk powder, and soy milk powder. I wanted to buy some self-heating rice meals, but they were too expensive for their worth, so I decided it's better to have more vegetables instead. Then, I swept through the aisles grabbing toilet paper, sanitary pads, toothpaste, power banks, and more, just in case I had to fight off zombies. I even bought a helmet, a thick raincoat, plastic gloves, and a kitchen knife. At checkout, the cashier smiled and asked, "Buying so much? Preparing for the apocalypse?" I nodded. "Yes, you should stock up too." The total came to just over 9,000, thankfully within my budget. I pulled out my phone to scan the code to pay, but with a beep, a cold electronic voice announced that my balance was insufficient. The cashier looked at me skeptically as I broke into a cold sweat and quickly checked my bank card's messages. Half an hour ago, there was a charge of 11,290 yuan, leaving a balance of 0.23 yuan. It was Peter, fuming with anger. I immediately called his number. Busy. Busy, still busy. People in line behind me were growing restless, urging me to hurry. In my panic, a message popped up on WeChat from my best friend inviting me for hot pot. Seizing the lifeline, I quickly asked if she could lend me 10,000 yuan. Without hesitation, she transferred the money. I immediately scanned to complete the payment, and the cashier's smile returned, asking if I needed home delivery. I nodded and gave my friend's address. Having narrowly averted disaster, I breathed a sigh of relief. Just then, my phone rang, thinking it was Peter returning my call. Ready to unleash my fury, I was surprised to see it was a video call from my best friend instead. She giggled and said, "I just realized I forgot to confirm it was really you when you called me princess and asked for a transfer." Seeing her lively, beautiful face again, tears welled up in my eyes. In a past life, during a zombie outbreak, my best friend starved to death without any food stored. "Did calling you princess really bring you to tears?" my friend asked, her hair tousled by the wind. I quickly wiped my tears and retorted, "You remembered to verify after transferring the money. Are you out of your mind? I bought some stuff and sent it to your place. I'll head back to sort things out and stay at yours for now." My friend looked at the mountain of goods piled outside the house, her mouth agape in surprise. "Are we heading into another lockdown?" As I hauled the items into the house, I replied, "Yes, don't just stand there, help me get a glass of water." We sorted the supplies, storing meat in the freezer and wrapping vegetables in cling film to keep them fresh in the fridge. It took over an hour to finish, and by then, our stomachs were growling. She dragged me out to have hot pot. The steaming hot pot with its spicy red oil, brimming with beef, lamb, duck blood, and fish balls, was my first full meal after months of hunger in that apocalyptic world. I ate until tears streamed down my face. After the meal, my friend went shopping while I pulled a mask and a cap from my bag and once again stood in front of a phone booth. "Hello, I am a concerned citizen." After a pause, the female operator's voice cut off, replaced by a stern male voice. "It's you. A suspicious mutation has occurred with Reed. Do you know something about it? It's a violent contagious virus. It can breach the blood-brain barrier, affect the central nervous system, and control the infected to bite and eat living beings, spreading the virus through saliva. They feel no pain and are incredibly destructive. Their only weakness is the brain." Reed is not an isolated case. Many are in the incubation period, appearing normal, going to work, school, eating out, traveling. If the disease suddenly manifests, it could cause panic and chaos, leading to a massive outbreak. The consequences would be unimaginable. The voice on the other end was grave. "We will strengthen control measures, but conventional controls Won't work. This isn't just any contagious disease, it's a virus that induces cannibalism. The person tried to reassure me. We understand your concerns, but this city is the economic lifeline of the country. Impatiently, I continued. Tonight, at Star Residential Area, someone will show symptoms. Tomorrow, at the 17th Middle School, the City People's Hospital, Yingying Building, Financial University, and Technical University, outbreaks will begin on a small scale. Tomorrow night, on Subway Lines 3, 4, and 7, there will be a full-scale outbreak. The day after tomorrow, the entire city will fall. In 3 days, the whole country will turn into hell. There was a pause before the reply came. Thank you for the information. We will verify it. After the call, burdened with heavy thoughts, I passed a pharmacy and impulsively bought some common medicines and vitamin tablets. Spending the last few hundred yuan in my WeChat balance. Once home, I posted apocalypse warnings on various major websites detailing preventive measures against zombies in office buildings, supermarkets, subways, residential areas, and homes, and listed the supplies needed for home protection. Half an hour later, the view count was just 21. It made no splash at all. Disappointed, I went to take a shower. In the bathroom, facing a poster of my friend's favorite idol posing flirtatiously, I braved it out and quickly finished my shower in 10 minutes. Seemed more moderate and plausible. It resonated with the public's past experiences with pandemics, making it easier for them to accept and react cautiously. My friend looked at me with anxious eyes. Sadie, are the zombies you mentioned really real? I nodded, trying to reassure her. Don't worry, I've got it under control. You better be right. The post has been shared over 500 times now. If it turns out to be a hoax, I could get arrested. I was silent. The comments had surpassed 1,000, with a few people beginning to panic. While most were still just spectating, I decided to act again, purchasing another batch of internet influencers. Could this be a new type of flu? The symptoms seem severe. I'm going to start wearing a mask again to avoid infecting the elderly and children at home. I managed without medicine last time, but I think I'll buy a couple of boxes of fever reducers just to be safe. If it gets serious, they might lock down again. I plan to stock up on some groceries, just in case. Compared to the intense zombie speculation, the flu theory appeared more grounded, causing less alarm but encouraging prudent actions. This approach helps spread a more controlled concern, steering the public's response towards preparation rather than panic. The compromise was effective and quickly gained recognition. Even my best friend's community group started a lively discussion. The building manager announced that he would contact the local market to have some meat, vegetables, eggs, and milk delivered first thing in the morning. Those who needed anything were to sign up in the group's spreadsheet. I breathed a sigh of relief. I had done all I could. The rest was up to fate. My best friend was frantically filling out forms in the group. Despite having stocked up on supplies at home, she was tempted by everything. When someone posted about Australian fatty beef rolls, she took it. Sterile salted eggs, she took them. KFC, McDonald's, Shake Shack, she took them all. I was dead tired and went straight to sleep unexpectedly. I was shaken awake at dawn. Sadie, you're not asleep, are you, Bleary? I responded. Sadie has not slept. My friend looked serious. I just thought, if zombies started banging on the door, our door isn't exactly the most secure. There are hundreds of people in this building. If a few zombies appeared, I had already considered this. In my past life, there were always zombies wandering in the hallways. Any little noise we made at home would excite them, banging against the door so fiercely it almost broke. I didn't want to live in such fear again, but there's no way. There's not enough time for renovations, my friend suggested. Why don't we move to my villa? It's in the suburbs, fewer people, thus fewer zombies. Plus, the house is bigger, we can store more stuff. There's also a big garden. My parents had already planted vegetables there. We could last 3 to 5 years easily. The more I heard, the brighter my eyes shone. I couldn't wait to pack up and leave. My friend got more excited as she spoke and even turned on the remote surveillance too. Plan the room arrangements in advance. Since we previously had cats, the villa was equipped with cameras everywhere, now clearly displaying the images. Someone's entered the villa. I leaned in to look, gritting my teeth. Peter, late at night. The villa was brightly lit. A large group of workers bustled about. Some installed blast-resistant glass and triple-layered security doors and windows. Others carried in solar panels, while others were setting up water storage tanks and purifiers, and some transported large quantities of supplies. Peter was there, bossing everyone around. In his arms was Serena, his heavily made-up mistress. The two of them cuddled and strolled around the villa, finally collapsing onto the luxurious bed. Serena lay on Peter's chest, cooing, "Naughty, you have such a big villa. Why didn't you ever tell me? All these supplies must have cost millions. You're really rich." Peter laughed proudly, his chest vibrating slightly, keeping a low profile, lest people covet. Serena's eyes flickered. "Does your fiancé know?" Peter scoffed. "Her? She's foolish. What would she know? Then why marry her? She can be our maid. Who else would do our laundry, cook for us, handle the dirty work? Hiring a maid costs money, whereas Sadie pays us. Your lace lingerie, your strawberry-flavored balloons, your luxurious suite, all paid for with Sadie's money. Exciting, isn't it? The harsh recording played, and my friend looked at me worriedly. I remained calm, indifferent. He wasn't wrong. In my past life, I was always at their service. At the time, Peter called me, crying poor, begging me to reduce the dowry by 100,000. In reality, he was scrambling to gather enough for a down payment before the wedding, secretly buying a house without putting it in my name. I was naive, not thinking it through. Hearing that we now had a house, I was thrilled. I bought loads of groceries and planned to cook a lavish dinner to celebrate, but when I opened the door, I saw Peter and Serena disheveled, rolling together. What followed was a blur of tears, arguments, and chaos. When I came to, zombies had besieged the city, trapping the three of us inside. Outnumbered, they forced me to do laundry and cooking. With no washing machine in the new house and freezing conditions, I had to hand wash their filthy underwear, chafing my hands raw. Later, when the infrastructure failed and we had neither water nor electricity, they made me clean up the mess. Disgusted by the stench they claimed I carried, they wouldn't let me sleep in the bedroom. In the dead of winter, I slept on the living room floor, shivering under my coat. I had thought such malice only surfaced during extreme disasters. Perhaps some people were just demons at heart. How thrilling, Serena giggled, boldly reaching for Peter's waistband, chuckling mischievously. Wait, it gets even more exciting. In no time, Peter and Serena stripped down and eagerly tangled up, igniting a fiery fray. There's a report of illegal entry, I blurted out. The police arrived to a scene not suitable for all eyes. Taking a startled step back, Serena screamed, scrambling to cover her naked body with a sheet, her eyes wide with panic. She looked at the doorway crowded with police and a nosy group of onlookers, including her pale-faced friend and me, then fainted. The police, accustomed to intense situations, remained composed and continued, "You'll need to come with us." Peter's body shook, his bare backside exposed, his face contorted as he struggled to say, "Can't, it's stuck. The officer's confiscade cracked. A worker gave a thumbs up. Wow, city folks really know how to have fun. The officer, voice trembling, stuttered a call for an ambulance. Wrapped in a sheet, the disgraceful pair were stretchered into the emergency room, attracting stares along the way. This is the drama I live for during my midnight hospital runs. These young people nowadays, always ending up in the hospital. It's really something. Wow, with the police involved. 2. Looks like a cheating scandal. How thrilling." Peter and Serena, heads bowed, covered their faces with their hands. My friend frantically took photos, furiously texting, sharing the gossip generously with everyone. "There's my conversation starter for dinners. I could talk about this for a lifetime. Catching cheaters is fun. I'd do this again." I smiled slightly, tallying up Peter's infidelity, and posted the evidence along with the breakup announcement on social media. The post exploded in our circle. In just 10 minutes, the likes and comments soared. Peter and I, being former classmates and having engaged with each other's families, shared many mutual friends. His colleagues and relatives all saw the post in their feeds. My parents called me immediately to check on me, and a few friends reached out privately to comfort me. Peter's parents were furious and urged me to delete the messages right away. Peter's uncles advised me that family scandals should not be publicized to avoid embarrassment online. Peter's brothers also tried to calm me down, saying that it's inevitable for men to make mistakes and it wasn't worth fussing over. I promptly took screenshots and sent them to his girlfriend. Within minutes, he was dumped too. Soon after, a PDF titled "A Record of a Freeloading Cheater's Affairs" appeared in various group chats, class, school alumni, professional circles, and hometown groups. It detailed Peter's miserly behavior of crying poor and not paying the dowry, instead stealing his fiancée's money to support his mistress, sneaking into villas for affairs, and being so scared when caught in the act that he had spasms and had to be taken to the hospital by the police. The document was vividly worded, detailed, included the police report, high-definition and censored photos of Peter and his mistress, and even video links. I glanced at my best friend. She smiled triumphantly. "Don't worry, nothing inappropriate was shown, so it's not spreading obscenity." When Peter and Serena emerged from the emergency room, trying to dress themselves up as if nothing happened, they were unaware that their reputations were already thoroughly destroyed. At the police station, Serena lost it when she saw her phone, screaming at me, "Sadie, you lowlife, who gave you the right to spread this everywhere?" She lunged at me, attempting to slap me, but I quickly dodged. A quick-reacting officer restrained her. "You dare to hit someone in a police station?" Seized by the officer, Serena glared at me with bloodshot eyes. "You wicked woman, you will not die well." I retorted sarcastically, "Whether I die well is up for debate, but you two are definitely socially dead." Peter was obsessively staring at his phone, his face usually so concerned with appearances. He insisted I iron his suits, shine his shoes, and style his hair every day, but now, Photos of him half-naked and trembling like a dog in heat were circulated everywhere, from his 55-year-old mentor to his 15-year-old cousin, all enjoying the spectacle. A wealthy lady even sent a voice message filled with innuendos. "Oh, I didn't know your skills were so strong. Have you considered taking on some paid services, and bring your own steel wool?" Her mocking echoed through the police station's hall. Peter turned pale, his chest heaving until he passed out. Officers had to revive him, calling his name and pinching his philtrum to no avail. Serena slapped him repeatedly, crying out, "Honey, say something." When Peter weakly raised his hand, "I'm awake, stop hitting me," Serena had already splashed his face with a bottle of water and sat on the ground, wailing, "What am I going to do? I'm ruined." Peter, regaining some composure, covered Serena's mouth and whispered something to her. Her crying abruptly stopped. She looked up, facing the curious onlookers with a scornful smile. I raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the scene. Peter, in a mess, approached me, swallowing hard. "Sadie, it's not what it looks like. Please, ask Sylvia to retract the report. Just say it was a misunderstanding among friends." I responded, "What was misunderstood?" Peter, looking around nervously, whispered in my ear, "Sadie, let me be honest with you. The apocalypse is coming. I did all this for you. Sylvia will be dead in a few days, and her villa will be ours. I was just getting it ready early. I only transferred your money to buy supplies. Weren't they for your use? After the apocalypse, money is just paper. It's the supplies that really matter. I've been racking my brains to ensure we can both survive well in this post-apocalyptic world, but I didn't expect to be misunderstood by you. Now, with time running short, we can't afford to delay at the police station. Just listen to me, withdraw your complaint quickly, and let's go back and finish up the fortifications on our shelter, or it'll be too late." I looked at him incredulously. No wonder he and Serena had suddenly calmed down. In his eyes, all of us were as good as dead. He knew about his dirty deeds. He didn't care. In an apocalypse, reputation doesn't feed you. Only the last ones standing win. He thought with the apocalypse, the collapse of order meant no consequences for lawlessness, so he indulged in reckless abandon. I'm curious, if the apocalypse hadn't happened and society was functioning normally, what would his expression be? I was actually looking forward to it. Since the apocalypse is so dangerous, you might as well stay here and spend 15 days in detention. You'll have food, drink, and bars to keep you safe from zombies. He became frantic and tried to speak. I raised my hand to stop him. "Stop talking. Every time you open your mouth, I'm reminded of your unpleasant face. In fact, in my past life, when I was forced to clean the toilet, I used his and Serena's chopsticks. I really didn't want to face him again." When Peter was being escorted away by the police, he kept shouting back, "Sadie, I gave you a chance. If you don't help me now and later can't find food, don't come asking for my help." I really admired his confidence. Even as everything was falling apart around him, my best friend pulled me out of the police station. Just as we stepped outside, we heard a loud "Ayo," and my friend and I jumped back in shock. There are zombies outside. A crowd was gathering, ostensibly workers who had come to demand their wages from Peter. Then, suddenly, a tall, thin man erupted in violence, pinning down a burly man and biting his neck. The burly man struggled. "Hey, ho, what are you doing? You really have those thoughts about an old man like me?" The crowd started panicking. Hearing our screams, the police rushed out, and 2 officers struggled to pull the thin man away from the burly man. The thin man's eyes were blood red, his mouth drooling, a picture of madness. He thrashed about, his limbs flailing wildly as he tried to bite anyone in reach. Almost breaking free from the police, my friend shouted, "Shoot him in the head!" As he nearly escaped, a policeman pulled out a stun baton and struck him down, causing him to collapse limply to the ground. "Ha," my friend scratched her head. The police officer smiled at us. "Young lady, have you been playing too many video games? The brain controls the body through bioelectricity. There's nothing a stun baton can't handle." I stared at the burly man lying on the ground, panting heavily. "He's infected. Contain him, quickly." The police station became busy again, after a whole day of turmoil. My friend and I were so exhausted that we went straight to sleep. When we got home the next morning, I lazily woke up, grabbed a KFC breakfast from a group purchase organized by the building manager, and sat down at the computer. My eyes narrowed when I saw the webpage. The top trending topic was explosion. The city government had released an announcement: an acute infectious disease of unknown origin has been detected in Shanghai. In order to curb the spread of the virus and ensure the safety of the public, a lockdown management was initiated in the city starting from 10 a.m. on October 17th. Within the lockdown area, residential communities have implemented sealed management, with all individuals required to stay in their own rooms without leaving, and all businesses have switched to closed production or remote work. Staff of all levels of party and government organs and public institutions are tasked with prevention and control duties. Public service companies ensure the normal functioning of Utilities and supplies including water, electricity, fuel, gas, communications, transportation, environmental sanitation, and the provision of grains, oils, meats, and vegetables. The operation of public transport such as buses, subways, ferries, taxis, and ride-sharing services has been suspended, along with the operations of airports, train stations, and other transportation hubs. The safety of people's lives and property is more important than anything else. We appreciate the understanding, support, and cooperation from all citizens. There are already tens of thousands of comments below. What the hell is happening? HR called to say I don't need to go to work, and here I was thinking I had been laid off. I saw a post about a zombie apocalypse yesterday. Could it actually be true? It's possible. Someone in our calculus class suddenly went mad, biting everyone they saw. I suspect it might be zombies. Don't be ridiculous. Who doesn't go crazy studying advanced math? Are those zombies? There were some at the city hospital too. I thought they were psychiatric patients who had escaped. Holy shit, I just saw that apocalypse warning post, and the predicted locations of the zombie outbreak match up. Could the city lockdown be related to that post? The virus just broke out. It seems too quick to lock down like this. Another damn lockdown. Do you know how much money a store loses in a day? No wonder the economy is struggling. Has country A ever had a lockdown? They never have issues like this, only we are locking down all the time. The spread of the virus is progressing as it did in the past life. What's different is that this time, under governmental arrangements, all citizens have returned to their homes in staggered batches, isolating themselves in individual rooms, to avoid a massive zombie outbreak that once happened near the subway stations. The source of this apocalypse will be nipped in the bud. I had just relaxed for a second when I scrolled to A message. Family, be cautious. I just escaped from the subway station. It was terrifying. The subway station. I immediately clicked on the video. In the station, a man in a trench coat and wearing a face mask, pushed by the crowd, moved stiffly forward a few steps, then suddenly convulsed and fell to the ground. A female passenger immediately knelt down to check on him unexpectedly. The man in the trench coat suddenly came back to life, lunging at her with bared teeth. The woman fell to the ground in terror, but the man's N95 mask, firmly in place, blocked his biting. That brief hindrance allowed the woman to come to her senses and struggle forcefully. Bystanders also reacted and managed to restrain the man, averting the disaster. I breathed a sigh of relief. This time, the subway station did not erupt. The trajectory of fate is gradually deviating from the past life. My phone vibrated. It was a call from my parents. I put on my headphones and answered quietly after watching the news. My parents were so frightened they could hardly speak properly, repeatedly telling me to stay indoors and not go out, asking if I had food. Hearing that I was at my best friend's house with plenty of supplies, they were reassured. My best friend had just woken up in the afternoon, groggily finished washing up, and sat down at the table. As she ate a panini while playing with her phone, she too saw the lockdown notice. Startled, the panini fell onto the table. Flights are stopped. My parents are still abroad. She looked up at me nervously. Sadie, are there zombie viruses abroad? She must have vaguely guessed that I had been reborn. I asked, where are your parents now? My best friend quickly mentioned a small town in Europe. I had never heard of it before, nor had I paid attention to it in my past life. I pondered for a moment. Europe has a smaller population, so even if there's a virus, it won't spread too quickly. Tell them to stock up on food and avoid going out too much. They should be fine. My friend put down her breakfast and went to make a call, but due to the time difference, no one answered. After much effort, she got in touch with the travel agency, requesting to halt the travel plans, have everyone stay at the hotel, and purchase a large amount of food, medicine, and daily necessities. Such an unusual request naturally met resistance from the travel agency. After a long back and forth, my friend compromised, only asking for her parents to withdraw and considering the travel expenses as lost. When her parents got up in the evening, ready and excited for their trip, they were informed that they had been withdrawn from the group. Oh my, what's going on? Sylvia's mother video called. My friend spilled everything that had happened over the last 2 days. Mom, Dad, stock up on good food, rent a car, and then please don't go outside. It would be best to convince Grandma Zoe and Aunt Wang to stay too, so you can look after each other. Sylvia's mother looked disappointed. I already bought a swimsuit. Planning to take photos with your Aunt Wang by the seaside, my friend became anxious. Mom, Sylvia's father decided, all right, there's no rush to take photos, the sea isn't going anywhere, let's listen to Sylvia, stay put for now, and I'll buy you both some bags from the duty-free shop when we return to the country. Sylvia's mother smiled broadly and then separately informed Grandma Zoe and Aunt Wang about the situation. Aunt Wang's voice came through the speaker, there's an epidemic back home. What does that have to do with us? You're making a big deal out of nothing. Fine, if you're not going, don't hold us up. After much questioning and hesitation, Grandma Zoe decided that her family would stay as well. Thus, from the original plan of 3 families traveling together, only the one family went on the journey. Sylvia's family and the aunt's family rented a van and headed straight for the biggest supermarket in the town. They chatted and laughed along the way, creating a harmonious atmosphere, and my friend finally felt relieved. Meanwhile, the time was approaching 8 p.m., the time when the zombie outbreak happened in my previous life. The subway station, where the zombie outbreak occurred in my previous life, was now pitch dark and deserted. The streets were empty and bleak. Inside the apartment buildings, every light was on, with each household lighting up as per government instructions for everyone to isolate individually in separate rooms. Even if someone turned, the harm could be minimized. The clock ticked on, and I clenched my mouse, sweat forming in my palms. Could the zombie outbreak be prevented? Could the apocalypse be changed? I kept refreshing the page. 10 minutes, silence. 30 minutes, a few more posts appeared asking for help due to family members turning, urging them to call the police immediately. 1 hour, the number of help requests surged, with netizens actively sharing them. 2 hours, a flood of distress messages covered the internet, with people starting to compile hotlines for various districts. 3 hours, the emergency hotline was paralyzed, no one answered the police calls, and hospitals were unreachable. Lockdown, though effective in preventing the massive spread of the zombie virus and containing the zombies within each household, also greatly dispersed police resources. Most people, left without help, resorted to posting online. The zombie outbreak came suddenly, catching everyone off guard as they watched their dearest family members turn into monstrous creatures. A rough civilian count of the number of zombies was made. These weren't just cold numbers, they represented real lives, flesh and blood, families torn apart. Reed's wife posted a tearful video. We haven't finished paying off our mortgage, my in-laws have no pension, and I'm unemployed. Our family depended solely on my husband's income. My husband worked tirelessly, even avoiding sick leave when he had a fever. Now that he's gone down, how are we supposed to survive? There were many similar videos. Some elderly people who had worked hard all their lives had just begun to enjoy retirement when they turned into zombies. Some students had just finished their college entrance exams, freed from the oppressive cage and looking forward to university, only to die here. Some families lost their main support. Some loving couples were torn apart forever. Some saw their cherished children turn into monsters. Online, there was an outcry of mourning and crying everywhere. It was heart-wrenching to see. Even if I could live this over, I couldn't save everyone. I looked at Reed's pregnant wife and his elderly but still robust parents. At least this time, they survived, didn't they? I found the post about the apocalypse warning and promoted it again. In the face of danger, let the deceased rest in peace, and the living must save themselves. Zombie saliva contains the virus. Use electric bike helmets, burlap sacks, thick plastic bags, and strong tape to wrap around the zombies' heads to prevent bites. Zombies have degenerated intelligence and won't open doors or climb. They can be locked alone in a room or separated by heavy objects to buy time for rescue. Zombies have evolved hearing, so avoid making noise that could provoke their frenzy. Zombies have enhanced sense of smell. Use methods like steaming vinegar, burning incense, boiling traditional medicine, or spraying floral water to mask the scent of the living. I detailed the characteristics of zombies, and netizens had their realizations. Let me see the true face of zombies. Oh my, this post is definitely useful. My boyfriend turned, and it just so happened that I had stuffed a gag in his mouth and handcuffed him to a chair. Otherwise, I wouldn't be alive to post this. These methods are very practical. I'll try them right away. My husband is gone anyway, and if he keeps howling, I'll be gone too. Netizens sprang into action, quickly achieving results. Thank God for the post creator. I now smell like floral water, and my mother-in-law finally shut up. My son stuffs everything in his mouth, and this time he got his wish. I stuffed a light bulb in there. There's a zombie in the hallway. I blocked the door with a treadmill. Come at me, zombies, one by one. Without a peep, our community's dance group of elderly ladies played a big role. They played music upstairs, and the gathered zombies were wiped out by the firefighters in one fell swoop. My son turned into a zombie and stopped doing his homework. Any advice? Mom's lawyer, I need advice. My husband and I are in the cooling off period of our divorce, and now he's turned into a zombie. What should I do? Posts of panic, chaos, and despair online gradually decreased. The resilience of the people in the country showed through. More people chose to help themselves, avoiding excessive drain on police resources. With a breather, the police could methodically assess the situation and danger level of each household and proceed with rescues in an orderly fashion. Things were gradually getting better. Sylvia's parents were thriving abroad and sounded cheerful over the phone. The meat is so cheap here. We bought a lot. Grandma Zoe made oxtail soup, and it was delicious. Have you guys eaten yet? My best friend and I were enjoying tomato and fatty beef hot pot, the milk-flavored fatty beef rolls organized by our building manager, paired with juicy tomatoes and 2 cans of ice-cold soda. made everything so comforting. It hardly seemed like the end of the world. Delicious aromas filled our building, and there was a cheerful atmosphere in our community chat group. Building 9, Unit 403. Today we're having ribs and cola chicken wings. The ribs from the building managers group are super fresh. Thumbs up. Building 7, Unit 501. Suddenly, my instant noodles don't taste so good anymore. Building 7, Unit 1202. Best friend, I have eggs and sausages at home. Want some? At Building 7, Unit 501. Building 7, Unit 501. Thank you, rich lady. Building 7 manager, this lockdown was so sudden. If it weren't for Unit 1202's early heads up, we wouldn't have been able to group by all these things. We really owe them one. Building 9, Unit 403. Thanks, rich lady. Building 4, Unit 902. Thanks, rich lady. Building 7, Unit 1202. Best friend, I just saw it online too. You guys should thank the person who posted the apocalypse warning online. Grinning, other communities weren't so lucky. In the Villa Complex chat group, a woman was desperate. My husband has mutated. My daughter is so scared she's got a high fever. There's no medicine in the nearby pharmacies, and the supermarkets are empty. What am I supposed to do? Some were skeptical. That doesn't make sense. There aren't many people in the Villa area. How could the nearby supermarkets be completely emptied? Someone must be profiting from the crisis, jacking up prices. Damn, whoever is doing this. If I find out, I'll make sure they regret it. I found out from the property management. A bunch of trucks came the other day, delivering to Unit A102. At my best friend's place, my heart skipped a beat. I'll go find him. I can handle the price gouging. But if my daughter dies, I don't want to live either. After saying this, the woman went silent, probably heading to my friend's place in a panic. My friend turned on the surveillance cameras, trying to find some medicine. As soon as she turned on the camera, she was stunned. How is Peter here again? 17. My friend called the police again, only to get a busy signal on the monitor. Serena's hair was disheveled. Your great plan was to take advantage of the chaos to break out of detention. This is a damn prison break. I must have been blind to have fallen for you. Peter was unfazed. What's wrong with a prison break? In the apocalypse, who cares about morals or laws? If you don't like it, just leave. The outside is full of zombies. Let's see how far you get. Oh, I forgot to mention, I've bought out all the nearby supermarkets and pharmacies, so don't come begging to me when you're hungry. Serena hesitated. The doorbell rang twice, and a weak female voice asked, is anyone in A102? Do you have fever medicine? Peter lifted his chin. See, he opened the door, all politeness and gentle demeanor. What do you need? Seeing his scholarly appearance, the woman gathered her courage. Do you have fever medicine? My daughter has a temperature of 40 degrees. She'll become delirious if she doesn't get medicine soon. I don't need much. Just one pack. I'll pay whatever it costs. Peter smiled gently. I don't need money. You know what the world is like now. Money is just paper, but medicine is worth more than gold. You'll need to offer something else in exchange. By the way, how old is your daughter? What does she look like? The woman was taken aback. You want gold? I have gold bars at home. As long as it saves my daughter's life, that's all I care about. Look at my daughter. She's beautiful, does well in school, and is determined to get into a top high school. She was delirious from the fever just now, and it's breaking my heart. Peter looked at the photos on her phone. Such a shame if she becomes foolish from the fever. Hope flickered in the woman's eyes. Peter's smile slowly widened. Bring your daughter over, and from now on, mother and daughter can look after each other. His eyes narrowed. You might be a bit old, but you've kept yourself well, and you have a nice figure. When his groping hand reached her chest, the woman only realized what he meant when her eyes widened in shock, and she slapped him, angrily shouting, have you no shame? A red mark quickly appeared on Peter's face. Feisty, aren't you? Think about it. Even if you and your daughter are lucky enough to find medicine, you won't survive long without food. I bought up all the food nearby. If you stick with me, you'll live comfortably. If not, well, damn it. Suddenly, a muscular bald man charged forward, grabbing Peter by the collar. So it was you who bought everything. How dare you harass a woman? I've got you now. The man glanced inside the house and spat. You don't have hundreds to feed at home. Why hoard so much? You know that driving up prices is illegal, right? Here's the deal. Hand over the excess food and medicine, and we'll buy it from you at triple the market rate. You won't lose out, and it'll help the elderly and children in our community. If we report this, not only will your assets be seized, but you could also end up in jail for 3 to 5 years. Think it over. The man flexed his muscles menacingly. Serena screamed out of fear and hurriedly tugged on Peter's sleeve. Just give it to him. We bought plenty. One punch from him and we'd both be done for by next week. Peter glared at the man, sized him up, and finally nodded. Walking back into the house, the woman breathed a sigh of relief, her eyes red, as the man quickly began to comfort her. When Peter came back with the items, the man took out his phone to make a transfer, but in a moment of inattention, Peter suddenly lunged at the man with a knife. The man's stomach was slashed open, blood pouring out as he staggered. The woman screamed and hurried to support him. Peter pulled out the knife with a grunt and stabbed again. Serena grabbed him desperately, crying out in despair, "Are you insane? Are you trying to kill someone?" Peter stumbled as she pulled him, pointing at her and cursing, "Bitch, whose side are you on?" The scene was chaotic. The man, clutching his stomach, struggled to his feet and pulled the woman toward the exit. Breathlessly, he said, "Take your daughter, let's go to the hospital. Emergency services should let us through." The two supported each other as they moved out of the surveillance area. My friend and I watched intently on the phone monitor when suddenly, a breaking news alert popped up. Zombies spotted nationwide. Panic swept across the country. A leadership team flew in on a special plane, arriving in Shanghai to conduct research for a day and announced in the evening, national lockdown. The streets were deserted, doors and windows of buildings tightly shut, everyone on edge. Foreign media fervently reported, the virus rampant in M country, becoming the world's biggest hotspot. M country, the real sick man of East Asia. M country restricts citizens' movement, completely devoid of freedom, losing human rights. M country's economy about to collapse, wishing every member of the Chinese Communist Party catches the virus. With every fall in M country, a country gains a job opportunity. Online, there was a wave of schadenfreude. The 5 stars on the flag of M country were maliciously twisted into the shape of a virus. Innocent citizens of M country were bombarded with vicious comments. In response, the Foreign Ministry expressed strong condemnation, singling out the authors of these articles. Yet, the authors continued to taunt, "M country's government can't control me. Spend your time fighting zombies instead." Citizens of M country were outraged, spontaneously petitioning on the White House website to remove these articles. Some were secretly relieved, and one shared vacation photos on social media. "Thankful my husband took me traveling in Europe. The air is fresher here than the smoggy atmosphere back home." But most people were too exhausted from fighting zombies to pay attention to online disputes. Fortunately, the lockdown in M country was orderly. The number of new cases had peaked and was beginning to decline. People were getting used to life under lockdown, continuing their daily work and studies as usual. There was still time for leisure activities like cooking, working out, chatting, and watching movies. Suddenly, a zombie virus outbreak exploded on a large scale abroad. Foreign media bombarded the news. Country M created the zombie virus. It will sweep across the globe. Yellow warning. The yellow peril arrives. Country M must take responsibility for this disaster and compensate our economic losses. Someone suggested, should we also follow Country M's epidemic control measures and implement lockdown management? The president of country is strongly opposed. People die from the flu every year. Do we have to shut down our country and restrict the freedom of our people? No one understands zombies better than I do. Under Country A's advanced medical care, the zombie virus is just a severe flu. We need to coexist with the zombies. Consequently, hundreds of millions of people abroad turned into free-roaming zombies. On international social media, sarcastic and schadenfreude comments towards Country M were gradually drowned out, filled instead with videos of screaming, gunshots, roars, bloodshed, riots, and destruction. By the time the government of Country A realized something was amiss, it was already too late. Tens of millions mourned their lost loved ones, furiously insulting the president on his account, recklessly venting their anxiety, panic, and despair. The president quietly deactivated his account and vanished. In just a month, the virus ravaged at a terrifying rate. Ferocious and terrifying zombies filled the streets, wandering in malls, schools, libraries, and government departments. Regardless of age, gender, skin color, or nationality, everyone picked up guns, grenades, chainsaws, and kitchen knives to defend their lives. Their hands may tremble after firing a gun once or twice, but after dozens of times, pulling the trigger became as natural as eating or drinking. Eventually, for a piece of bread or a bottle of water, they would not hesitate to shoot and kill. The number of people killed by zombies or by their own compatriots was incalculable, and Country A became a state completely lost to chaos. Netizens from Country M were shaken. Thank goodness we implemented a lockdown early, or else this would have been our fate. They don't understand the weaknesses of zombies, wasted so many bullets. It was agonizing to watch. There's some kind of divine intervention in Country M. Every time there's a national crisis, a hero appears to save the people from disaster. The apocalypse warnings and the decisive lockdown decision probably saved hundreds of millions of Country M citizens, maybe even more. Our country's population density is much higher than abroad. Those who initially criticized Country M's lockdown measures silently deleted all their comments, and one circle of friends updated she was facing the Camera, with a crowd fleeing in panic behind her. Zombies are chasing me. I can't run anymore. Can the embassy save me? She was pushed and fell. Then the video cut off, and there was no more news from her. More and more disaster-like videos flooded the domestic networks. Many people in Country M were worried. My daughter is still abroad. She was about to graduate and come home. My father went abroad for business. Just thinking that he can't even get a stale piece of bread. I can't even enjoy my chicken dish. Dozens of our school's teachers went to an international conference because there was a breakthrough in cancer-targeted drugs, but now they can't come back. According to statistics, there are more than 60 million overseas Chinese, affecting countless families' hearts. In Country A, the zombies densely packed the streets. Individual efforts were almost futile. People turned all their hopes towards the government. Country A had the world's most powerful army and the most advanced weapons. As long as they could dispatch troops to clean up the zombies, the citizens could breathe a sigh of relief. People starved and barely clung to life, desperately waiting for government rescue. But what they got instead was the shocking news of a collective evacuation by Country A's high-ranking officials. On the coast, dozens of huge Noah's Arks carried Country A's government officials, wealthy businessmen, scholars, doctors, all the elites, leaving behind the desperately waiting people. Fleeing the devastated land, the people of Country A were completely desperate. Some jumped from skyscrapers, some turned their guns on themselves, some calmly faced death and said their final goodbyes to relatives far away in Country M. On the video call, they tried to smile, while their relatives cried uncontrollably. Suddenly, the Country M government issued a notice: all overseas Chinese, please quickly find refuge at the local embassy. In 3 days, Country M will send a special plane to bring our citizens home. Both sides on the video call were stunned. At first it was disbelief, then excitement and ecstasy. Her best friend jumped up in surprise and immediately contacted her parents. Mom and Dad, did you see the notice? Get in the car and head to the nearest embassy. Sylvia's parents and Grandma Zoe, who had been staying in a remote hotel until it was moldy, got moving as soon as they received the message. The people of M Country, struggling abroad, all received a text message from the embassy on their phones, sparking a glimmer of hope for survival in their eyes. With only their remaining ammunition and rations carefully packed, they cautiously kept their passports close to their bodies. Risking their lives on the dangerous streets, they jumped into their cars, slammed on the gas pedal, and sped wildly to the embassy. On the day of departure, everyone was filled with excitement, lining up to go through the security check. The guard's sharp eyes scanned each person. Suddenly, his gaze hardened, and he pulled aside a J Country person trying to slip through. No M Country passport, no entry. The person from J Country immediately began to apologize, desperately pleading while clinging to the guard's sleeve. Their country often discharged nuclear wastewater, causing the zombies to mutate and become even more terrifying than regular zombies. Some grew in size, some moved incredibly fast. Others had hard shells, having been besieged by mutated zombies for months. The person from J Country could no longer hold on, tears and snot running down his face. Please let us in. Our ancestors were from M Country. We have M Country blood. The guard firmly refused. Resources are limited. We can only prioritize our own compatriots from M Country. The person from J Country's face turned ashen, watching helplessly as the people from M Country boarded the plane and escaped the nightmare. On the plane from M Country, the broadcast in M language was so heartfelt it brought tears to the eyes. The attendants kindly offered hot water and steaming dumplings before takeoff. Sylvia's mother called excitedly, we're about to head back, don't worry. Perhaps the M Country passport can't take you anywhere in the world, but when war and disaster strike, it can bring you home from anywhere. After a long quarantine, the returnees couldn't wait to get back home. Her best friend cried and threw herself into the arms of Sylvia's parents, the family overwhelmed with tears. We joyfully shared a hot pot meal, and then collapsed on the sofa, each engrossed in our beloved smartphones. Suddenly, her best friend sat up. Right, Mom, Dad, someone broke into our villa while you were away. She narrated Peter's impressive deeds with vivid gestures and excitement. Sylvia's mother was startled. You two young girls, how dare you confront him in the middle of the night? Oh, you called the police. Quite brave and clever. Sadie's ex-boyfriend really is no good, sneaking around in our house. Why didn't he go to the Forbidden City instead? It's truly embarrassing. Send me that PDF, I want to see for myself. Sylvia's mother was on an emotional roller coaster. Sylvia's father's face darkened. Is that man still in the villa? He might be. Her best friend casually turned on the surveillance. Where's my big surveillance camera? I pulled my gaze from my phone. Bad news. The surveillance is gone. Good news. There's video everywhere. Peter's video had gone viral online. It must have been secretly recorded by a strong man. It was as if a camera was mounted on his head. Initially, from a distance, Peter's haggling with a woman was quite clear, but then Peter slyly pinched the woman's breasts. The strong man cursed and rushed up, the two argued, and finally, Peter stabbed her. The camera pointed down, showing a bloody abdomen. This first-person perspective, like VR, was so immersive, I started feeling phantom pains in my stomach. This vicious assault attracted a lot of attention. Looks like a decent person, but stabs someone without even a frown. Antisocial. Personality much. One person hoarded several supermarkets, way too selfish, leaving no room for others. He even wanted a mother-daughter triangle, and was refining copper, too. It was a classic case of an ugly toad trying to play the prince, charming no one. Soon after the story was shared widely, people began recognizing Peter. Looks familiar. Isn't this the guy who got caught cheating and couldn't extricate himself? They had to carry him stacked up to the hospital. I was shocked when I saw a view image. Yes, that's him. I saw it in a group chat. Over 100 pages of a thrilling PDF. Anyone wants it? DM me. Check out the high-definition video of the affair on my homepage. The scandalous videos spread like wildfire, dragging Serena into the mess as well. Both of their reputations were ruined. Some netizens found the drama hitting too close to home. Holy crap, that's my classmate. Just the other day, he was talking about getting married and buying a house, even borrowed 50,000 from me. Was it all a scam? Isn't that my grandnephew? He was pulling people into investments in the family group chat, promising returns. I put in over 100,000. The situation escalated. Peter, just an ordinary guy, suddenly became the center of attention with elements of violence, erotica, ethical breaches, and fraud, all capturing the public's eye. Casual internet users became engrossed, relishing the unfolding drama. Numerous content creators jumped on the bandwagon, making videos to ride the wave of trending interest. Some clarified the backstory of the events concerning Peter, others created remixes and parodies of his videos, and yet others dug up personal information about him. In no time, Peter became a top trending topic in the country, known by everyone. People who knew Peter started coming forward. Without exception, they had all lent him money for various reasons. Seeing Peter's smugness and hearing him boast, money is just paper, even the most gullible could tell. He never intended to repay the debts. They panicked. Peter's uncles and aunts stopped preaching family secrets should not be aired in public. They posted dozens of TikToks, tearfully demanding their money back. Peter's friends abandoned the usual men will make mistakes. They vented furiously on social media, declaring that not returning the money was illegal and threatening legal action. In their quest to reclaim their funds, they contacted Peter's employer who, overwhelmed by the hassle, terminated his employment. With the drama unfolding online, the police swiftly issued a notice. As it turned out, the couple involved had already reported the incident. Initially, the police station was too busy, but they recognized the suspect as someone who had escaped from detention. The police were stunned. They immediately dispatched officers to arrest him, seizing the weapon and camera as evidence. With conclusive evidence at hand, the case was quickly resolved. The trial was live streamed online. Peter was charged with multiple offenses including intentional harm, illegal possession of controlled knives, illegal fundraising, breaking and entering, indecent assault, attacking police, and escape from custody, involving sums amounting to millions. The money he had gathered under the guise of investment returns was returned to relatives and friends. For breaking into and damaging a private residence, he was ordered to compensate Sylvia's family with 760,000 yuan. For stealing and using a bank card, he was ordered to pay back 49,000 yuan. Faced with multiple charges, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. His parents were so outraged by the verdict that they had strokes on the spot. They had emptied their life savings for his supposed wedding and house, only to lose it all to the victims, left with nothing. The old man was so angry he fainted, his face contorting. His mother wailed and created a scene in court. Peter, with red eyes, muttered to himself incredulously, "How could this happen? Why hasn't the apocalypse arrived? What's different from my last life? Sadie, it's you, Judge. I want to sue Sadie. She's the problem." Stirring a massive uproar online, the post about the apocalypse, originally a hot topic, became even more controversial. Some suspect the government's decision to lock down the city was because of this warning. This post practically spoon-feeds you the weaknesses of zombies. Without it, how much longer would our country have struggled? As the debates grew louder, dissenting voices also emerged. The government's decision was correct. What does it have to do with a silly post? The methods in the post are so basic, anyone could think of them with a little thought. Is it really worth all the hype? Could it be the virus developed by CC? Otherwise, how could they know so much? Maybe it's a police insider, using internal news to draw traffic to themselves, desperate to become an internet celebrity. The situation was already confusing. Peter's bizarre statement in court directly exposed the True identity of Cece is Sadie. Even more fatally, my personal information was leaked. Peter's fiancé. This simply sparked a firestorm, and various comments began to emerge. Some even said we were time travelers from the future. Why else would she post with such certainty? Why else would he spend all his savings on supplies? It makes sense. It all connects now, Master. I've realized it, however. Things took a turn I didn't expect. Many people sent me private messages berating me. Since you knew the future, why didn't you get the government to lock down the city a day earlier? My son died in that zombie outbreak at school. It's all your fault. You knew there were zombies abroad. Why didn't you get the government to evacuate people sooner? My dad was driven to suicide just one day too late. The zombie virus was a human culling plan. Why did you report it to the nation? If it had gone smoothly, at least 90% of the global population would have died. Then there would be resources everywhere. We could have achieved communism, and I could buy as many houses in Beijing as I wanted. You ruined such a great opportunity. Such a short-sighted woman. A swarm of malicious comments came at me. My information was leaked. My phone was blown up with calls. My inbox was stuffed. Some even doxed my company and address, sending me all sorts of horrifying parcels: cockroaches, rats, dead cats, zombie heads, a wriggling grayish head with its mouth wide open bit towards my hand. I was so scared. I dared not touch anything anymore, dared not go out, and spent all day hiding at my best friend's house. To my horror, some maniac even splashed paint on the door. The people in the community were outraged and came to help us clean up voluntarily. They also enhanced security, intercepted all unidentified parcels, and kept suspicious individuals out of the community. They said, "Our community is safe and stable. All thanks to your post. You've already helped us. Now it's our turn to help you." My best friends, family all stood by me. Even my parents flew in from their hometown to be with me. Many netizens heard of my ordeal and sent me comforting messages privately. I felt the warmest kindness from around the world. One day, the police knocked on my door. A police officer in crisp uniform saluted me. "Comrade Sadie, after a thorough investigation, your record is clean. You are patriotic and dedicated. In this international public health emergency, you have made significant contributions, saving countless lives. Country will not fail any hero. The organization has decided to award you the National Medal and invites you to Beijing for the award ceremony." At the same time, the official account released this news. It caused a huge stir. Many netizens saw the announcement and only had one word to say: what? With so much online skepticism, the authorities had to step forward, publicly disclosed my 2 police reports, and stated plainly, Comrade Sadie's provided clues directly facilitated the government's lockdown decision, indirectly saving billions of lives in country. Her contribution is immeasurable. The usually low-key propaganda department also spoke out, displaying a zombie virus transmission model developed by Q University's Computer Research Institute, based on the daily human traffic in various parts of country, the incubation period of the virus, and the rate of transmission. Calculations and simulations were conducted. Without the lockdown, the zombie virus would have covered Shanghai in one day, spread across the country in 3 days, with at least 300 million people infected and deceased. Considering the average family's stock of food and medicine, this death toll would have doubled. Comrade Sadie's courageous advice, the correct decisions of the nation, and the hard work of countless grassroots personnel made this major disaster disappear into thin air, ensuring the safety of the people's lives and property. In the prediction video, the white dots representing healthy people, densely packed in subways, schools, and offices. The red dots representing the virus, surged forward vigorously, rapidly seizing control of various key transportation hubs in crowded places. The infection spread from subway stations across the city and eventually nationwide, painting the map blood red. The video then shifts to the actual situation. White dots are evenly distributed in residential buildings. After the red dots of the virus appear, they multiply at an extremely slow rate for a while, then their numbers plummet dramatically, completely eradicated, leaving the map spotlessly white. The following scenes show grassroots workers organizing and distributing supplies, fully armed police officers removing zombies from the trembling residents' homes, medical staff collapsing from exhaustion after finally saving a newly infected patient, hundreds of planes taking off in succession, bringing home nationals suffering abroad. Netizens were deeply shocked. Amazing. The virus outbreak coincided with the evening rush hour. As soon as the subway doors opened, out came the zombies. I was dead right there. If the zombies don't get you, the hunger will. Who has enough food to last 3 months? Of all the countries in the world, only country successfully fought off the zombies. It's always the bravest among them that protect their people so well. I can't believe in addition to the doomsday warnings, Sadie did so much more. I'm Literally crying, "There's no need to exaggerate. Isn't this kind of important information supposed to be reported to the state? Would you bet on the state believing you? Spreading rumors can get you detained for 10 days. Sadie took a huge risk that Peter didn't report to the state either, didn't even tell his neighbors. Instead, he borrowed money, hoarded supplies, and refused to share, leading to a whole community running out of food and medicine, almost killing people. Damn, that's despicable. It clearly shows who is better, Peter or Sadie. I heard Sadie even got splashed with paint. What kind of ingrates are these? It's disheartening. Those who bring warmth to others should not be left to freeze in the snow. Doesn't the police have anything to say about this? Of course, they do. The police issued a notice. Those who insult, defame, provoke, and cause trouble for Comrade Sadie will be detained for 15 days. In severe cases, they may face up to 3 years in prison, detention, or deprivation of political rights. Many were immediately intimidated, deleting posts and closing accounts overnight. My private messages, once filled with unbearable remarks, vanished, now filled with netizens' gratitude and blessings. Days later, in prison, Peter's legs were crippled and wrapped in thick plaster, his face bruised and swollen, his buzzed hair singed to reveal his scalp, his eyelids drooped as he numbly watched the news broadcast. Suddenly, his eyes widened in shock. On the TV, inside the grand golden hall of the People's Congress, amidst majestic, stirring music, and amidst a sea of flowers and applause, I stood solemnly, receiving the highest honor of country from the hands of the President. The President said, "Today's National Medal honoree represents the millions who have made outstanding contributions. Her spirit vividly embodies our national ethos. Her deeds and contributions will be forever inscribed in our nation's history, but I know, I only did what a regular citizen should do, in times of crisis. Moving forward together, the honor should go to all the people of country." 3 months later, the nation resumed production and work. Medical personnel traveled to neighboring countries to carry out humanitarian aid. 6 months later, country developed a vaccine against the zombie virus and began clinical use. The military was the first to be vaccinated, then headed to countries most infested with zombies to begin cleansing operations. Once bustling cities, after several rounds of indiscriminate bombing, turned into piles of rubble. When the army reached the deserted lands of Country A, they uncovered a horrifying truth. The biological labs of Country A still contain many progenitors of the virus, the very origin of the zombie virus. Meanwhile, officials from Country A leisurely landed in Iceland, seizing the resources of the locals and reappearing on the internet. Foreign ministries of various nations began their diplomatic tug-of-war. The world has unanimously pointed the finger at Country A, demanding compensation for the crisis. Following the crisis, global population has been reduced by roughly half according to incomplete statistics. Some countries have vanished. English has become a minority language. The global structure has been reshuffled, with massive changes across all sectors, subtly breaking down class barriers. Many people from Country M have flown around the world to support medical aid, post-disaster reconstruction, and psychological counseling. Chinese has become the world's primary lingua franca. The passport of Country M citizens allows them unhindered access to any part of the world. People from Country M, having seen a wider and more diverse world, no longer confine themselves to cramped rental spaces in Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, but have ventured into a broader world. The world is vast and full of possibilities, except for Peter and Serena. Initially, Serena's scandalous photos were the talk of the town. She thought the apocalypse was near, and that these people wouldn't last many days, perhaps even begging at her feet for food. She wanted to personally burst their eyeballs for their indiscreet gazes, but damn, the apocalypse never came. She went to work, only to face strange looks at the office. Colleagues whispered behind her back. In the pantry, she encountered harassment. Someone even tried to force her into the restroom to assault her. Unable to bear it, she resigned and hid at home, crying. Her parents scolded her, calling her a disgrace. Her classmates offered fake comfort, only to use her story as gossip. She cried, fell into depression, and even attempted suicide. Fortunately, she met a kind man who shone like a warm beam of sunlight in her dark world. He forgave her mistakes, eased her mind, and cared for her deeply. He was her hero. When he invited her to meet, Serena eagerly agreed. Dreaming of a loving marriage and a blissful, ordinary life ahead, unexpectedly, she was drugged by this man and sold to a massage parlor where she was tortured beyond recognition. Years later, after the police busted the prostitution ring, her ordeal came to light. Rescued at 30, she looked worn and deeply scarred. Her aging parents, bent over, went to the police station to pick her up. They looked at each other silently for a long time. Afterward, she no longer appeared in public, choosing instead to make handicrafts at home and sell them online, living out her remaining days in quiet. As for Peter, he had exploited numerous lending platforms. The police traced these back, busting several dens, gang leaders were arrested, and in prison, Peter encountered the masterminds, leading to frequent beatings. Some inmates despised Peter for his previous offenses, taking their anger out on him, brutally exploiting him, turning his life into a living nightmare. The prison guards turned a blind eye. After a grueling time, he was released only to find his mother had passed away years ago and his father had suffered a stroke. Paralyzed and burdened with medical debt, he wanted to borrow money for living, but relatives and friends, previously betrayed by him, shunned him. He wanted to work, but who would hire such a notorious person? He could only take on menial, dirty jobs to barely support his family. I had already forgotten about him. With the state's award money, I bought the villa next to my best friend's place. Our backyards connect, and we've planted peaches, watermelons, strawberries, and even set up a grape trellis to sit under and enjoy the cool shade. One day,